that there is not a smidgen of corruption in the IRS targeting of conservatives?
On the advice of my counsel, I respectfully exercise my Fifth Amendment right.
Tales. Stories made up from whole cloth. Lies.
Another day, another delay related to Obamacare.
The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimating Obamacare will cause Americans to leave the workforce.
Her monthly premium jumps $260.
I have not done anything wrong. I have not broken any laws.
The missing emails extend from 2009 to 2011, a period when Lerner headed the IRS's Exempt Organizations Division.
And that was the same time the IRS was using unfair and biased criteria to target and punish conservative groups.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
All right, I promise you we're not going to spend the entire 3-hour program in Baltimore, for Pete's sakes. Enough has been said, but maybe you haven't heard what the other side said. Here we go. It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number if you want to get involved in the action. Real simple to do, 307-363-4093. That's 307-363-4093. And pretty much everything I'm talking about and a whole lot more, you'll find it on my website, which is boldrepublic.com. So, okay. I didn't want to spend the entire show because I thought we pretty much said it all yesterday. There was a peaceful protest going on. And then at some point, a bunch of punk thugs showed up in Baltimore and disrupted what the good work that the good people of Baltimore were doing with the police and we're doing with the mayor. Peaceful protests and working with officials in the city. There's a process set up in case something like this goes wrong. Suddenly, out of the blue, these thugs show up. Oh, by the way, if you call them thugs, apparently now that's like using the N-word that makes you a racist. Well, that's according to some people on MSNBC, and I'm going to go through some of what some of these people have been saying. But you're not allowed to say thugs because that's racist, and you're using the N-word. Ah, I see. Because the mayor of Baltimore, who's black, called them thugs. Let's see. The sheriff out of Detroit called them thugs. He's a black man. There's a whole list of blacks who've called them thugs. The difference is whether you were listening to a liberal or a conservative as to whether they thought these thugs were thugs. Now, real quick, let's get to something Fox News has just posted up. They've been doing some research as to social media. Who were these punk thugs, call them what they are, that showed up and started causing trouble in Baltimore? And something I was telling you guys yesterday is apparently they weren't from Baltimore. Most of the people of Baltimore were involved in peaceful demonstrations and working with the authorities on a legitimate problem. So where did they come from? Well, they've been tracking social media, the people who were the troublemakers from Ferguson, who most of whom were out-of-towners, by the way. A lot of them came from places like New York. Seems to be the same people that showed up in Baltimore to do the same thing. Okay. Fox News is still following up on this. But we know that the troublemakers, the people who started the trouble, came from out of town. And this is what they do. They start trouble like this whenever they see an opportunity. Let's go, first off, clear up something that the mayor of Baltimore said yesterday and tried to backtrack yesterday. Now, I mentioned this to you, but I was on the air at the time, and I wasn't able to capture the audio. So, okay, yesterday I'm going to play the whole comment from the mayor of Baltimore. So no one can accuse me of cutting this out and editing anything. Here's what she said.
It's a very delicate balancing act because while we tried to make sure that they were protected from the cars and the other things that were going on, we also gave those who wished to destroy space to do that as well. And we worked very hard to to keep that balance and to put ourselves in the best position to de-escalate. And that's what you saw this evening.
So we gave people who wish to destroy space to do that as well. Now, then later in the day during the press conference, she was asked to comment on that because that seemed like she was condoning, like she was saying, we've given you an area where you can set cars on fire and loot stores. How the hell do you walk that back? Well, she tried. Of course, she blames the press.
I'll say the very blatant mischaracterization of my words was not helpful today. I was asked a question about the property damage that was done. And in answering that question, I made it very clear that we balance a very fine line between giving protesters, peaceful protesters, space to protest. What I said is, in doing so, people can hijack that and use that space for bad.
Really? Is that what you said?
We also gave those who wished to destroy space to do that as well.
Doesn't sound like the same thing to me, right? Well, I don't know. I'll go ahead and pull the wax out of my ears here. There, okay, got a big wad of wax on my finger. Pull it out of my ears. Ears clean, ready to go. One more time.
We also gave those who wished to destroy space to do that as well.
All right. Seems pretty obvious to me. Somehow, though, that's your fault, my fault, the media's fault for mischaracterizing. They were just lying about what you did not hear what you thought you heard. Okay, I'm waiting for someone to call for the mayor's resignation. I mean, well, people like you and I have, but I mean, people in Baltimore. Yeah, and also for just the mess they made out of this. They were not prepared for this. I'm surprised the police did as well as they did. Now, let's go to the comments. I hate to do this to you people. Okay, but I want you to see this. Let's go to the comments made from the liberal press, which is pretty much all the press, but, like MSNBC, for example. I'm just going to go, and you're supposed to have sympathy for these folks. You're supposed to understand they're trying to make excuses. I don't see how you can excuse any of this. Well, put it to you this way. If you're upset about something, fine, be upset about it. Want to protest? Protest it, absolutely. Want to talk to the mayor and the sheriff about it? By God, there's a system set up so you can do that. There's a way to get these things done. The moment you throw something through a store window and then start stealing, well, at that point, I don't care how angry you are at what. You have no business destroying somebody else's property and stealing from them. Do I really need to say this? There's no excuse for it. Well, apparently, there are people out there who want to make excuses for this. All right, so the first one, this is from a panel discussion on MSNBC. Mark Hill is this guy's name. Riots, he says, are what's happening in Kentucky after the basketball team lost the championship. What we're seeing is an international wave of uprising. Okay, so according to this guy, this is part of an international wave of uprising. All right, well, let me explain it to Mark here. Martin Luther King marching arm in arm with everybody who's wearing their Sunday best over a bridge in Selma, Alabama, while they're singing "We Shall Overcome." That's a protest. Trashing police cars and setting them on fire and setting buildings on fire after you've looted those stores, that's a riot. I don't care what your excuse is. It's not an uprising. But that was something that was used a lot. Oh, it's an uprising. Sally Cohn, spelled K-O-H-N, Cohn. Also with MSNBC, hardcore, liberal, okay. Looting is a real shame. Okay. So according to her, it's a shame, right? But, she says, far more shameful is the pattern of police violence against the black community. Perspective, people. Now, I'm not completely disagreeing with what she has to say, although I would classify what we saw in Baltimore as a lot worse than just a shame. But you want perspective here? When she puts at the end of it, hashtag Baltimore Rising, this has nothing to do with rising. This is just looting. Next one has a picture of, well, let's see, Trayvon Martin's in there, Michael Brown's in there, and then the young man that was killed in Baltimore by police. Sean King writes, listen carefully to how it's used. Thug, he puts it in quotes. It's the new N-word. My post from October on this very thing. Okay, see, so once again, you're not allowed to say thug when you're referring to thugs, because apparently that's a racist slur. Well, then what am I supposed to call a thug? No, honestly, what am I, when a guy is dragged out of his store by several people and beaten up, what am I supposed to call that? When people break into a CVS and just loot the damn place and then set it on fire, and then when the police department shows up, they start poking holes with knives in the fire hose, what am I supposed to call that? When they're throwing rocks at police, that's, what is that? That's not rioting, that's not thuggery. See, now you know why MSNBC has such low ratings here. Okay. This next one came with a picture on Twitter of a police van on fire. Burning police cars and destroying private property is a political strategy. In fact, he calls it a legitimate political strategy. Well, this is from Salon.com, which is like a liberal news website, an opinion website. Burning police cars and destroying private property is a legitimate political strategy. I see. Here's one more for you. Christopher Hayes is a host on MSNBC. I know you've never heard of him because he's a host on MSNBC. He tweeted, when West Baltimore isn't rioting, the national media, and by large, could not possibly care less about what's happening there. Okay. Stories about what's happening in places like this are covered all the time by people like Chris Hayes. And by the way, Chris, you're part of the national media. Last tweet for you. Jamal Smith, again, one of the commentators on MSNBC. I don't condone this, but hold on now. One of the best sayings I've ever heard. Whenever somebody says something and then they say, but everything they said before it is a lie. So let's read that again. I don't condone this, but whoops. I think he does condone it. He says, but we need to listen to what these children in Baltimore are communicating. Make no mistake. This is communication. Oh, no, I absolutely agree with you. This is communication. Let me explain to you what they are communicating. They are a bunch of thugs out of control who don't care about other people's property and are using this as an excuse. Here, let me give you an example of what I mean. This guy wants you to believe that they're communicating out there. Okay. Well, of all the pictures that I've seen, and I've gone through quite a few pictures over the past couple of days about this, I think one of my favorites is there's a guy coming out of a store. I think this is a CVS. It might be a grocery store. And he's got nothing but arms full of condoms. His arms, I mean, he just picked up as many condoms as he could carry, and he's rushing out of the store. And someone wrote on the picture, Baltimore riots because showing support for a dead person means looting condoms? Okay. Well, apparently, these non-thugs, is that what I'm supposed to call them? Are saying something. What do you suppose he's saying with all of those condoms?
I'm Professor Burke from Farmers Insurance, and this is 30 Seconds of Smart. So you want discounts on your home insurance? Upgrade your roof. Upgrade your plumbing. Get a burglar alarm. Get a fire alarm. Combine policies with your spouse. Bundle your coverage. Quit smoking. And of course, talk to farmers, because the more you know about home insurance, the more you can save.
We are farmers.
Get smarter about your insurance at farmers.com.
Stop by and see Lyle Austin, 201 West Lakeway Road in the Lakeway Professional Center, 686-5002. That's 686-5002.
Daydreaming, son. It's time to get prepared. Time to get off your sofa and run yourself down to Surplus Unlimited in the Gun Traders building. Oh, my. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Civilian soldier, they got everything you could need. That's right, the surplus is unlimited. Surplus Unlimited ammo for babies and adults.
That's right, babies need camos too.
10 different styles of camo.
Oh, don't you look pretty.
550 cord, numerous colors, wool blankets, boots, hats, gloves, coats, shirts, tactical vests and belts, camping supplies, high quality army cots, and that hard to find P38 can opener. Save time, save money. Surplus Unlimited in the Gun Traders building. 801 Carlisle on the Douglas Highway across from the fishing lake. Gillette, Wyoming.
Hello, Americans. This is Rod with your local American-made store here in Gillette, Wyoming, where it's always made right here in the USA. Have you seen our stainless steel art? It's beautiful. Yes, and he will do custom. Framed artwork. Check out our selection. Top-of-the-line stuffed olives, flavored olive oils. And yes, we have toys and Okabashi sandals. Free pocket constitution with purchase. We are the solution for this great nation. Get informed. Don't forget your veterans. God bless America, and buy American. It matters. MyMadeInAmericaStore.com.
Do you live in Gillette, Cheyenne, Sundance, Laramie, Buffalo? Do you have a Class A CDL with a doubles endorsement? Do you like making money? If you answered yes, Aulick Leasing can help you. Apply online at aulickleasing.com or give me, Chris Anderson, a call, 308-633-4023. That's 308-633-4023.
Mars. The air, not breathable. The surface, cold and barren. But thousands are lining up for a chance to go and never come back. South Dakota, progressive, productive, and abundant in oxygen. Why die on Mars when you can live in South Dakota? South Dakota, you can live here.
When you dance like nobody is watching. And when you call Glenn, talk like the NSA and IRS are listening. Because most likely they are.
Guess who?
And they haven't had their daily dose of irreverent, insulting sarcasm today. We're counting on you. Call the show now.
I wanted to give you some good news out of Baltimore. And there is good news out of Baltimore. This will restore some faith in humanity for you. First off, after a night of thuggery, looting and rioting, and zero political statements by anybody, despite what the left wants to excuse. Fact of the matter is, it was rioting and looting and thuggery. All right, so after that was over with, about 1,000 people came out of their homes. Now that all the thug rioting looters had gone home to sleep it off, and volunteered to clean it up. Now, those are the people that showed up and said, I want to volunteer, and got together. Other people didn't go anywhere to ask. They just started showing up and cleaning it up. So the neighborhoods were being cleaned by the thousands of people who just decided that, you know, enough of this. Somebody's got to get this back in order. That's one piece of good news. Next, you've probably heard this by now. If you haven't, for those people watching by video, take a look at your video screen here. This, to me, well, it's called parenting. Look it up. So this mom shows up, her teenage son, pardon me. I said teenage thug. That was actually a Freudian slip. Teenage son, wearing a hoodie, plus he had pulled something black up around his mouth and nose to hide his face. He's got black jeans and a black backpack on that as well, and black gloves. Mom shows up. That would be the banshee in yellow there. And mom is not taking this. She goes up to her son in front of everybody and just starts giving him hell, then starts smacking that boy upside the head. Oh, dear Lord. This young man who thought he was so tough and was going to take on the cops now has to face his mother as she starts dragging his fool butt home. What are you doing? Get off this street. You're going home. and she just smacked him on down the road, grabbing him. She actually pulled the hoodie off, pulled the mask down, and grabbed him by the collar and started dragging her teenage son home. And that restored my faith in humanity. Interesting. I just felt so much better the moment I saw that. I looked at it and thought, you know, we need more moms like this in places like Ferguson. We need dads like this too. Where are the fathers? We need more moms and dads like this in places like Ferguson, in places like Detroit, in places like Chicago, apparently this section of Baltimore. These people exist, the people who got up early in the morning and went out and just started cleaning up. Oh, you know, good point, DJ. DJ wants to point out that while she was beating the ever-loving snot out of her punk son, her hair looks fabulous. No, she really looks good. Okay, for those who can't see it, she's got some light-colored blue jeans on. They're fashionably torn in the front. You know that fashion where they have strategically placed rips in them that are supposed to look casual? Okay. On top of that, she has a yellow shirt, which almost has, looks like a lacy pattern. And then there's a tiny little yellow sweater over top of that. Just goes over the bust. She's wearing nice, tasteful earrings there. Her hair looks just absolutely perfect in this as well. You know something? Yeah, she's wearing a beautiful bracelet, big, thick bracelet, which I'm sure the son felt upside his head a couple of times. That matches that entire outfit. Oh, she is just looking good. And she beats the living tar out of her son, dragging his fool behind all the way home. Way to go, Mom. Made my day. So there is hope in this. Now, from one congressman that's from this neighborhood, he went and spoke to the press. He went back home, spoke to the press. And wow, he right away called for congressional action on this. The president had some words for the, well, he wanted restraint from the police. And then he talked about some kind of political action that was needed to get this done. I'm going to say what I said yesterday. And remember, I had on as a guest yesterday, Frederick Wilson II, who has been on this program once before. And he made some really good points. The solution to this problem begins with moms like this going out on the street and just grabbing their fool sons and taking them home. And again, I got to ask the question, and where's the father? Dad should be right with her. Although if I were the father, I wouldn't get in mom's way. I would be there backing mom up. But I'm not going to get in front of that. No, dear Lord. Oh, my Lord. She could take on an entire police line at this point. So we need more of that in these neighborhoods. This is where it starts. The problem is that government got involved in all of this is part of the problem and broke up these homes with all of their social programs. The solution to this starts actually in the community and not with government action. You're not going to pass a bill to fix this problem. You're not going to start another government program to fix this problem. Another $10 billion is not going to fix this problem. So if you want this problem fixed and right away you're looking to government to solve this problem, you're looking in the wrong place, honestly. That's not where this problem stems from. It starts in the home. Freddie was right.
Ben Affleck's ancestors owned slaves. Dang, Ben, don't you hate it when all that so-called forward-leaning progressivism stays in the past? Especially when your progressive comrades discover and invade your Batcave?
I think with that propaganda.
We have a coward playing Batman. Ben Affleck wants his family history scrubbed if it points to them owning slaves. He wouldn't want to sound like us conservatives who say, why are you judging me for something I didn't do that happened more than 100 years before me? Now, in Ben's defense, I don't give a glob of guano that Ben's ancestors owned slaves. They suck for doing that, but I can't blame him for that. But Ben Affleck is guilty of voting for the party that fought to keep the slave market going. Ben Affleck is also a Muslim sympathizer, and Muslims are still slave trading in Africa. You can try to lay that crap on Christians all you want. Muslims hold the crown on slavery. I mean, seriously, Ben, if you think slavery is bad, you should be going all batty brains about Muslims. Anyway, how funny that the show, Finding Your Roots, is hosted by race-sensitive liberal comrade Henry Gates on the PBS channel. Remember that dude? You know, Beergate? I guess now we're going to have Batgate. Or is it going to be Henry Gate? Whatever. Henry Gates is pushing buttons in your Batcave, exposing your secrets, Ben. Oh no, so Ben, being the egotistical elitist that he is, wants these facts deleted, if you will. Looks like Hillary Clinton is an ideal representative for Ben. Bill Clinton, on the other hand, would have been like, well, it depends on what your definition of slavery is. This is how deeply shallow Ben Affleck is. And yes, with liberals, you can apply the oxymoron of deeply shallow. Ben doesn't want to be seen as a bad person for what his ancestors did because their actions shouldn't reflect on him. They did it, not him. But it's okay to show his other ancestors so their noble actions can reflect on him, even though they did it, not him. Now, why did Ben Affleck freak out over this? Because he knows that despite how much liberals talk about tolerance and acceptance and not being judgmental, liberals are the most judgmental people among us, and he knows it. That's why this scares the crap out of him, because liberals are totally judgmental. Ben Affleck just saw the death of his career flash before his eyes in the hands of his liberal executioners. But fortunately for you, Ben, people love to be entertained, and they want to see the new Batman movie. I personally don't need to look at your ancestors to see your own guilt as an agent of oppression who supports representatives and policies that infringe on people's God-given rights. But I know it makes you feel like a superhero to support the state forcing fairness by being unfair. I'm Alfonso Rachel with Zone Nation, and maybe the next Batman movie will be where Ben Affleck gets Superman to fly around the world backwards to the time of Ben's slave-holding ancestors so he can kill him, so he can feel awesome about people thinking he's really that awesome in real life. And yes, with liberals, you can apply the oxymoron of deeply shallow.
It's the Obama administration bankruptcy liquidation sale. Everything must go. Solar panels at greatly discounted prices. Get them now before we throw them in the trash. Windmills bigger than you've ever seen. Never before driven. Limited mileage. Chevy Volts at rock bottom prices. Get them now before they catch on fire too. It's the Obama administration liquidation bankruptcy sale. If it's green, it's gone.
Do yourself a favor. Don't just listen to the show. See what Glenn's talking about at boldrepublic.com. There you can watch the show live on YouTube or download the show and listen to it later. Now let's get back in there. Here's Glenn Woods.
It's a Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. if you want to get in on the program. That's 307-363-4093. If you're listening or watching on social media of any kind, there's a lot of ways to do that. You can go ahead and leave a message in the message box, and I'll respond to that. DJ will make sure that I get that. Okay, so Experiment 0789 has a legitimate question. Don't worry, I can handle this on air. I have to, well, got to be careful of the language here. I have affiliate stations. Okay. He really wants to know, according to some people, if I refer to these thugs that are out there on the streets of Baltimore tearing up the city right now, if I refer to them as thugs, then, well, that makes me a racist. In effect, I have used the N word. Okay, well, he wants to know if calling these people thugs is the new N word, then what do I call a white thug? Now, Christine says, well, you call him a thug. Actually, Christine will be absolutely right. You do call him a thug. It's because it's the same thing. See, because the problem here is they right away want to they want thug to mean something racial. Racism doesn't get involved in the definition of what a thug is. Okay, so some guy just decides to brutally beat someone to death and take their stuff. I don't care what the race of the person is. That's a thug. Okay, so a group of guys get together, head down the street. I don't care what the reasoning is. The reason they say they're doing it and don't tell me that these people in Baltimore are doing it because the police killed somebody. You don't steal an armful of condoms and run down the street. You don't rob a liquor store because the police killed somebody, a member of your community. It's not how that works. So, okay, there are people rioting. They're thugs. I don't care why they're rioting. I don't care if they're rioting because they just lost a football game. There was some football game was being played, and they lost the football game. And so they've decided to tear out into the streets and turn over things and loot. Hey, you know, I've seen people do this because their team won a game. I don't care what their race are. I don't care. I don't care what their gender is. I don't care. Are they setting cars on fire, destroying property, and stealing things? Then they are punk thugs. And it doesn't matter what their race are. A punk thug is a punk thug. So what I'm doing is I'm not buying into the premise that, well, you know, that's a racist term. One of the things you can never buy into the premise when people are trying to shame you with racism. The premise of their argument is wrong. Now, Christine, quickly, being on the ball here, just sent me a thesaurus online. Oh, Christine, this is good. What would you define as a thug? Because again, we're being told now thug is the new N-word. It's a racist term. So according to the thesaurus, other words for thug: assassin, bandit, bully, criminal, gangster, goon, gunman, hooligan, mobster, murderer, rioter, rowdy, troublemaker, delinquent, hood, killer, punk, ruffian, gang member, hired killer, professional killer. All of those are thugs. Now, I didn't hear, when I was going through that list, at no time and nowhere in there was race mentioned. Ah, summertime. You know, the great outdoors. You know what half the fun is with getting away from it all? Shopping. I mean, we're talking guns, bows, arrows, knives, camping equipment, from tents to sleeping bags, clothing, bug spray, fishing line, lures, tackle bait, cooking equipment, MREs, even all the latest electronic gadgets, and they've got it all at Rocky Mountain Discount Sports with locations throughout Wyoming. So no matter what you need, before you head out into the great outdoors, do some shopping. That's half the fun, isn't it? Rocky Mountain Discount Sports, conveniently located in Gillette, Wyoming, on South Douglas Highway and 1351 CY Drive in Casper.
Where will Wyoming be by the year 2100? Are we building a future for our children, or are we stealing it? Right now, government employees who expect a retirement check will find their pension fund broke in just 14 years. Wyoming's pension will go the way of pensions of Detroit and Illinois, which are already bankrupt. If we want Wyoming to still be a viable state at the next turn of the century, we can't let it go bankrupt. Wyoming needs to set the example and not saddle future generations with today's debt. Visit Wyoming2100.com for a few ideas on how we can avoid spending traps that are bankrupting so many other states. Wyoming2100.com. The long view, the right road.
Smithers, you look exhausted.
Oh, sir, I was at the office half the night.
Really? Well, that's the third night this week.
Yes, sir. I just can't seem to stay away. I'm not sure what's gotten into me.
Dedication, son. I haven't seen that kind of work ethic in years.
Right. Well, I'll probably be at the office late again tonight. There's just so much to do.
You'll want to work late every night at the Office Saloon with Doc McGillicuddy Monday. Tap that Tuesdays. Screw it Wednesdays, Thirsty Thursdays, and thank God it's Friday with Bud and Bud Light specials. And at the office, you'll even want to work weekends. Saturday nights, ladies' nights, and mini-me Sunday. Work late at the Office Saloon. U.S. Highway 14 in Gillette, Wyoming, out toward the airport.
Smithers, is there any luck with that client you've been chasing?
Oh, yes, sir. Last night, she gave me her phone number.
Attaboy, Smithers. Attaboy.
They held thousands of coffee klatches all over the country where they invited their neighbors to come and listen to a record made by a well-known actor on the evils of socialized medicine.
My name is Ronald Reagan. One of the traditional methods of imposing statism or socialism on a people has been by way of medicine. The doctor begins to lose freedoms. It's like telling a lie, and one leads to another. A doctor decides he wants to practice in one town, and the government has to say to him, you can't live in that town. They already have enough doctors. You have to go someplace else. All of us can see what happens once you establish the precedent that the government can determine a man's working place and his working methods, and behind it will come other federal programs that will invade every area of freedom as we have known it in this country, until one day we will awake to find that we have socialism.
Hello. Yes, I think Glenn is going to take your call next, but don't call him Glenn. He wants to be called Tasty White Guy. Oh, no, he takes it as a compliment. Trust me. Wait, here we go.
Back to the show. Back to Glenn Woods.
This is Pasty White Guy, and Duff is hanging on the phone. What you got for me, Duff?
Hey, Glenn.
Yes, sir.
If you want to be genteel, call it group dissidence.
Sounds like
Thuggery.
dysentery.
If you want to be mean-spirited about it, why don't we just call it crowd sheepery?
Yeah, crowd
sheepery. You have two
is good.
people with larcenous ideas, and the sheep just follow their lead.
There they go. They just, and yeah, it is a crowd mentality. It really is. But you know something, frankly,
Crowd
seriously.
sheepery. They don't have a thought. They're just following the leader.
Yeah, right. They see somebody else do it. Well, here's the thing, though. I don't want to be delicate about it, Duff.
Okay, then.
Yeah,
Then let's call it sheepery.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, I mean, no, I think for these punk thug sheep, can you have a thug sheep? I picture like a sheep in a leather jacket. It doesn't work for me. Anyway, no, when I look at this, seriously, they should be treated like social outcasts. They should be called what they are. Nobody should be making excuses for them.
You bring up a good point. I'll stop and think about it. We often reference wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
So you take two wolves, put sheep's clothing on them, and they go along doing what wolves do, and the sheep just follow them.
There you go. Thanks for calling. I appreciate you hanging through. I appreciate you hanging through the break and not breathing into the phone this time. Thank you, Duff.
I was ready for you, dude.
Okay, good. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. That's 307-363-4093. So, okay, here's what I think part of the problem is. 1 in 5 families in the United States, we've reached this point right now, nobody's working. In 19.9% of American families, according to data released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, no one in the family is working. Now, I hear from people on the left, oh, no, well, we have to get these people jobs. Jobs is the answer here. Jobs is the answer, okay? So go out and get one. What are you waiting for? Okay, well, first off, pay attention in school. Who's going to make you pay attention in school and work hard? Mom and dad, probably. Where are mom and dad? That's part of the problem. Get some work ethic. Get some good work ethic. Show up. Work hard. Get a life, okay? Get out there and be a responsible adult. All my mom asked of me in my life is don't be a burden on society. That's all she said. Just don't be a burden on society. That's what I'm saying. They keep saying we need to give these people jobs. A job is not something that the government just comes along and gives to you. You acquire skills that an employer needs, or you start your own business with skills that you've acquired and people hire you because they want or need the work you do. That's what a job is. Why are you waiting for somebody else? You're just sitting around collecting money, bored, nothing to do. And this, in part, is what becomes of it. I'm tired of the excuse, we just need to give these people jobs. Well, you know something? There were some jobs available in this community in Baltimore. But this morning, there's a lot fewer of these jobs available. And obviously, you know why. Because they burned out the stores. That's why. Well, there was a CVS, there was a liquor store, and quite a few other places where they could have gone and at least got a starter job to learn some skills. Maybe work their way up into management, but those places are gone now. So why are you screaming, well, we need to get them jobs? They're burning down their places of employment. The problem is not that government needs to show up and provide anything. The problem has been that government has been showing up and providing everything. Now, on that note, Tim from Tampa gave me a call, all giddy today, and we got together and went ahead and made it's a video right now. If you go to my website, boldrepublic.com, it's on my Bold TV page. But anyway, here's just the audio for the commercial. Well, we figured with all of this looting going on, there's no possible way with all of this looting that they have use for all of this stuff. So I would bet that they're going to find their own jobs by selling everything that they've looted.
Yo, come on down. The Ridge is Right Electronics. You need a TV? We got TVs. We got all kinds of TVs. Need a washing machine? No problem. Just bring a couple of people. We'll help you get a washing machine. You need help putting stuff in your car? No problem. That ain't your car? No problem. Here at Regis, we're giving you a 15% discount if you bring your own brick. Just look for the 70-inch Samsung TV on my brother-in-law's back. We're an Air Shop and approved dealer with a 5 homie rating. Deals are going fast. In fact, we be running like crazy. You need toilet paper, condoms, and some Advil? No problem. We located right outside the CVS parking lot. The fire sale starts as soon as the police turn it back. We got locations all up and down Main Street. Here at Regis, we proud to announce that we expanded. We come to cities near you. Just look for us. We everywhere. Come on down to Regis Right Electronics, 442 West Main Street, 449 West Main Street, and 572 West Main Street. Basically, we just heading west down Main Street. We might double back, you don't know, but just keep looking for us. We out there. No offers too small. You just come down to Regis. We hook you up. We'll hook you up before they lock us up. Remember, at Regis, the deal is a steal. No, really, we stole it.
Now, of course, as soon as we started producing, as soon as we finished producing it, I was asked the question several times. So by playing that commercial, aren't we writing some kind of a line or something like that? Here again, I have no problem playing what I just played. None whatsoever. Because I have absolutely zero respect for the people that I'm talking about. They don't deserve it. They haven't earned it. They're not going to get it.
Hi, this is Sal from the Liberal Clearinghouse, inviting you to come on down and get what you can before it all goes. Remember, the Liberal Clearinghouse is staffed by unemployed college students and Common Core dropouts. So it's pretty much self-serve down here. We have a wide selection of broken wind turbines, solar panels, unsold electric cars. Get them before they catch on fire. For the internet junkies, we have special deals on government-produced internet viruses, surveillance software, and crashed websites. Everything must go. Are you an unemployed doctor or a patient that can't afford an unemployed doctor? We have them both. We have abandoned HUD homes, abandoned tenant houses, abandoned skyscrapers, abandoned cities like Detroit, and abandoned websites like Obamacare. Hurry, hurry, hurry. We are borrowing money from the grandkids tomorrow so that you can afford the subsidies to purchase today. So come see the Liberal Clearinghouse today before it winds up on the scrap heap of tomorrow. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nicholas. I run a little local newspaper that I happen to own in a small town. I have to do it pretty much all by myself. I do have some employees that do a wonderful job, but advertising, sales, PR, reporting, photography, book work, sure, I would love to hire some people to help me. But government taxes, rules, regulation, they all get in the way. Make it impossible.
Hi, my name is Chris. I sell and install flooring. I'm proud to say I own my own company. I should be on the floor right now selling to my customers. But instead, I'm back here in this little hole I call my office, trying to catch up on paperwork. I was actually able to make a lot more money when I could run my company. Thanks, big government. Because of you, my life sucks more and more every day.
All I want to do is replace my washing machine. But thanks to the EPA, my choices are limited to energy-efficient models that don't work worth a damn. Thanks, big government. My life didn't suck enough.
Sorting through the nonsensical nonsense that makes your life a living hell. It's Glenn Woods. OldRepublic.com.
It's a Bold Public Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. One last thing on this topic, then for the next 2 hours, I'm going to talk about all sorts of other topics, but it'll be open phones at the beginning of the next hour, so you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. If you're on this subject, 307-363-4093. That's 307-363-4093. Get a load of this. A professor and CNN contributor. 2 strikes against them in Liberalville. A professor and a CNN contributor. Speaking about the Baltimore riots. Now, can you imagine, before I even say it, what the point of view is going to be like as soon as I give you his resume? He's a CNN contributor. He's a professor. Yeah, you already know where we're going with this. He says, we should be strategic about how we riot. You're once again trying to justify what's happening. Oh, these people in these neighborhoods have been abused, and so they deserve. Okay, let's ask something. Since they're nothing but victims in communities like Baltimore, these are nothing but victims, right? Is that what you're telling me? Okay. So let's take a look at the prostitution and the drug dealing and the murder and the thievery and the home invasions and the gun violence that goes on there. And I'm just scratching the surface of what is just an average night in a neighborhood like Ferguson. Stores that are, let's not forget Michael Brown. There was no hands up, don't shoot with Michael Brown. Let's take a serious look at Michael Brown for a minute. What was he doing before he was killed, justifiably so, because he was charging a police officer? Well, he had just gone down to a convenience store, stolen a bunch of Swisher Sweet little cigarlets, which are used for what? Well, they like to pull the cheap tobacco out and stuff marijuana in there. That's why and he steals a whole box of them. And when the owner of the store tries to stop him, he roughs the guy up. Later, when a police officer tries to confront him, he roughs the police officer up. And then during the course of the attack, the police officer has to defend himself. So what about that? Why is Michael Brown a victim? Explain to me how he's a victim. Oh, I know how. If you lie about what happened that day, then he's a victim. That's why. That's how that works. If you lie about what happened, Michael Brown's a victim. Now, this young man in Baltimore, he has a long rap sheet. He's been in trouble with the law time and time again. Now, whatever happened the day that he was in police custody and he was killed, we need to investigate. We need to find out. Okay, it doesn't look to me like it's anything that the police can justify, but let's find out. Let's take a look at what honestly happened here and find out. Maybe the police are in the wrong. Maybe the police were in the right. I don't know. We have to wait until all the evidence comes in. But the assumption is the worst in this case. What I still want to know, though, is how can anybody possibly justify the kind of behavior, the gang activity that we see in these neighborhoods? I'm not going to treat these folks like victims. I'm not doing it. They're not victims. These are punk thugs. When you look at their day-to-day activity, these are punk thugs. Now, there are good people that live in these neighborhoods. There are good kids who go to school and get an education and are determined to get out of these neighborhoods. It's not everybody in the neighborhood. We've seen good church-going people who are doing all they can to fix their communities. These are good people. These are the people we should be encouraging. Unfortunately, these people are living in neighborhoods with a bunch of punk thugs. Don't make excuses for the punk thugs. Don't. Okay. And this is what I've been I've been showing you over the past hours. I've gone through what MSNBC has been saying, what some commentators on CNN have been calling this. This is an uprising. This is social justice. The hell it is. Stealing a bunch of condoms, stealing a bunch of alcohol, burning down the store has nothing to do with righteous social justice. I tell you where the righteous social justice was. The good people of the community who went down to City Hall and peacefully protested and then went and talked to their mayor, then went and talked to their governor, then went and talked to the police, and were working on a solution to the problem. The ministers and churchgoers and other civic organizations in the neighborhood that are trying desperately to get these kids out of the gangs or get them to, well, never join a gang in the first place. Those are the good people that we should be encouraging. I'm not going to call them punks. They don't deserve what's happening to them. These are the people that got up this morning that I told you about and literally by the thousands turned out from their homes and started cleaning up the neighborhoods. These are the good people that we should be encouraging. These are the good people we should be rewarding. The punk thugs should be treated like just a bunch of punk thugs, which they should be social outcasts, obviously. What they do should not be glorified in any way, not even in their music. All right, second hour of the program. If you want to keep talking about this, fine, but I've got a lot of other things to cover, and we're going to do it. Open phone, second hour. Here we go.
Ebola virus.
What difference?
Jim Crow Day was radical.
Time to try something new.
everybody, welcome to News Busted. I'm Jody Miller. Let's get started. A new poll shows 54% of Americans think Hillary Clinton is not honest or trustworthy. And that explains Hillary Clinton's new Secret Service code name, Bill Clinton. Speaking of Hillary, her campaign has set a fundraising goal of $2.5 billion. Hillary claims she needs to raise that much in order to get money out of politics. Now that Bruce Jenner has come out as transgender, late-night TV writers were delighted to learn that Jenner is also a Christian and a Republican. This means they can now continue to ridicule him. President Obama has taken responsibility for 2 hostages killed in a U.S. airstrike against al-Qaeda. The president promised an investigation, and he said he will not rest until his next round of golf. Security guards confiscated hundreds of fake IDs at California's Coachella Music Festival. The phony IDs were turned over to the Obama administration, who immediately redistributed them to illegal immigrants. Hillary Clinton recently said that all her grandparents were immigrants, but records only show that one came to America as a child. Sadly, none of Hillary's grandparents lived to see what a magnificent liar she has become. The Philadelphia Eagles have signed quarterback Tim Tebow, and not a moment too soon. It was rumored that after 3 years of inactivity, Tebow was about to renounce Christianity and join ISIS. And finally, a new study shows that Al Capone was probably the worst tax evader of all time. Historians claim that if Capone were alive today, he would probably be a host on MSNBC. Thanks for watching News Busted, everybody. I'm Jody Miller. Be sure to subscribe to our videos on YouTube. We'll catch you next time.
We are an oil and gas publication that focuses on the Marcellus Shale in northern Pennsylvania. Well, it started with my exposure to the oil and gas industry through the family heavy equipment business, which I had some background with print and layout. Kind of made sense, something that a guy could keep in the truck and pick up and use as a resource to find local businesses that catered to his needs. Mansfield, it's a small community, sort of a tourist town. A lot of that has changed with, of course, the introduction of Marcellus Shale. The oil and gas industry has definitely created a lot of jobs here. There's a lot of potential for a lot of different people to find employment in many different types of industries, not just drilling.
I'm the manager here at Mansfield Farm and Garden, known as Hampson's. We didn't carry any of these supplies. Our biggest was ice fishing supplies. We have recently got into the gas exploration business, carrying FR clothing, steel-toed boots, safety wear, pretty much anything to keep you warm and dry for gas exploration. And now most of our business is this every day. Financially, it's tenfold what we ever expected. It's been an amazing adventure.
Our business is industrial supplies. We sell tools, nuts, bolts, and such to corporations as far as factories. With the gas industry coming into the area, our sales have tripled. I've been able to hire 3 or 4 new salespeople. It's really been a big boom for the area.
The shops are full. All these different stores here, a lot of them used to be vacant. Now there's thriving businesses in all these stores.
We're getting new hotels, new restaurants.
We don't need a tax on the industry or a fee, because the industry is creating enough revenue here that it shouldn't be needed. You know, this situation here has done more for the common man and the everyday Joe than anybody else could have imagined. The average person can pay their debts. There's opportunities for working class people, entrepreneurs, etc.
It's been a wonderful, wonderful thing, except for the traffic.
So many businesses are coming here to start with that this can only get better.
Jenkins!
Yes, sir?
I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to give up your parking spot in the company parking lot.
But, sir?
Well, it's just that it looks bad, son. I mean, here you are in the primo spot while the hardworking little people are relegated to the back of the parking lot.
But sir...
I mean, you don't want the company to appear elitist now, do you, son?
No, sir. It's just that I don't have an assigned spot. The only reason I'm parked up front is because I'm the first first one in the parking lot every morning, and I'm the last to leave.
Really putting in the hours there, huh, Jenkins?
Yes, sir.
Good man, good man. But, well, it would probably be better if you parked in the back, way in the back. Appearances, you know, Jenkins.
Well, like I'm a dedicated hard worker, sir?
Oh, right, exactly. And that makes everyone else look bad.
Including you, sir?
Especially me.
I'm not paid for what we spend by the middle of the decade. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you've got health insurance, you like your doctor, you like your plan, you can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan.
No matter what you've heard, if you like your doctor or healthcare plan, you can keep it.
For the first time in more than a decade, imports accounted for less than half of what we consume. Job growth was the weakest of any economic expansion between 2001 and 2008 since World War II. I don't want to run auto companies. I don't want to run banks.
I think we can get a lot of work done fast. When I met with the governors, all of them have projects that are shovel-ready.
Shovel-ready was not as shovel-ready as we expected. I would convene a continuous advisory meeting with not just Democrats, but Republicans, specifically on national security issues, because there is a long tradition that our differences in foreign policy should end at the water's edge.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
So the Iranian Navy wants to tussle, do they? Well, they're pretty good at harassing unarmed vessels. Let's see what happens now that a real Navy vessel's showing up. It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number if you want to get involved. This is simple. 307-363-4093 is the number. That's 307-363-4093. Pretty much everything I'm talking about, a whole lot more. You'll find it on my website, which is boldrepublic.com. And if you're watching or listening by Spreaker, Google Plus, on the app, yes, there's an app for the show. All you have to do is just go to your app store, type in Bold Republic. You can go ahead and leave messages in the message box, and DJ will get them to me, and I'll answer them while I'm there. So all the different ways you can communicate and even change the subject at this point. Iranian naval vessel. Now, the Iranian naval vessel consists of 4 men on oars and an oversized rowboat, basically, is what it is. They have a big damn slingshot up in the front of that thing. Iranian naval vessels fired shots and boarded a Marshall Island flag commercial container ship in the Straits of Hormuz today. Senior defense officials told Fox News the ship originally being heading to, United Arab Emirates is now being escorted by the Iranian Navy into waters, which, apparently belong to the Iranians, and it's the home of Iran's largest naval base. So what happened was the Iranians are claiming that this ship left international waters and strayed into their waters. Rather than just telling them to get out, and it looks like that boat was still, by the way, in international waters, so the Iranians are probably lying again, but okay. So they tell the vessel to... basically in layman's terms, from the seaman's point of view, pull over. And of course, the vessel refused to. So the Iranians fired a couple of shots across their bow, quite literally. So, okay, that can't fight back. Okay, fine, we'll do whatever you say. Now they're being escorted into Iranian territory. So the USS destroyer, Farragut, a guided missile destroyer, is making best speed en route to the area and has dispatched a helicopter to get a closer look. Colonel Steve Warren, a Pentagon spokesman, said the cargo ship's master had initially refused in order to pull over, but that's when the shots were fired across his bow. the cargo ship, which had about 30 people aboard. Now, there were some rumors in the beginning that Americans were on board, but later they said no Americans are on board this thing. However, still, though, it's a free vessel in free territory. So, okay. Iranian vessel numbered 5 or 6 were in the area at the time. Yeah, you just send one destroyer. You know, you could send an American lifeboat with a couple of guys with guns at this point to handle the Iranian Navy. So, okay. A spokesman for the U.S. government has said we have certain obligations to defend the interests of the Marshall Islands. They're friends of ours, in other words. But he was uncertain as to whose obligations apply in this situation. Here's all I'm asking. And this is really all we know about the situation. What I just told you is all we know about the situation at the moment. Here is all that I'm asking. It's real simple. Mr. President, when you, and I said the same thing when you put ships off the coast of Yemen, if you are committing our military to anything, it's a commitment. Don't tie their hands behind their backs. Don't give them ridiculous rules of engagement. Absolutely not. That's just guaranteeing that Americans are going to be killed. Don't do it. If you're going to send our Navy in, they need to clearly understand what they're allowed to do, and you give them, honestly, just as much latitude as they need for the situation. Whatever it is they need to do. Don't micromanage this. We've been down that road before. When politicians, especially naive politicians like our president, try to micromanage the military, we wind up with, in this case, it would be dead sailors. All right, so the Iranians started this. We need to make sure to finish it, and it's an utter humiliation to the Iranians. However we decide to do this. I still get a kick out of when Iran built several Navy ships that were supposed to be mock-ups of our Navy ship, including an aircraft carrier. And then they practiced maneuvers, and they made it very public. They practiced maneuvers attacking those vessels. The first thing I thought of was the Bruce Lee movie, Enter the Dragon, where during the tournament, this guy tries to impress Bruce Lee by throwing a board up into the air and breaking it in half in midair. And Bruce Lee looked at him and said, "Boards don't hit back." So, okay, here comes you've practiced attacking Navy destroyers. But those things were just basically barges, mock-ups, and they didn't shoot back. Here comes a real Navy destroyer. Okay, let's see what happens. Mr. President, don't give these people ridiculous rules of engagement. If you do that, you're just going to get them killed. Headline, science is settled. Welfare discourages work. Really? Welfare? Did you see this coming? Okay. This is from the story in front of me from Breitbart News. The Obama era has given us a very expensive lesson in how employment has a strong demand component. Unemployment rises not just because of the support of jobs that's diminished, but because people aren't bothering to look. Well, they have an alternative. What would be the alternative? Before it was you either find work or you're going to go hungry and wind up living under a bridge. So you better get it together. You better go find work. But now there's an alternative. You can get yourself on Social Security disability as one food stamps. There's also get an Obama phone. You can get free or partially paid for housing. There's all sorts of things you can do now. And so if that's the alternative, then why necessarily would you go to work? Okay. Seems like common sense, right? All right. Well, apparently that has huge public policy implications for me. I'm not supposed to bring that out. Well, okay. Apparently now someone's done another study. Well, apparently you have to prove this to people from time to time. Apparently someone's done another study that says, yeah, you know, when you got all sorts of social programs out there, people just don't bother showing up for work because there's an alternative to work. And the alternative is just sitting home and collecting the money and relaxing and enjoying. And why wouldn't you if you can just get free money and you don't have to show up to work every day? I mean, it's a hassle to have to roll out of bed every single day at your alarm clock before you naturally woke up and go all the way down to a place of business and slave yourself silly for just a few bucks. Why do that if the money's just going to be given to you for free? Why would you? So yet here's another study. You know, we don't just need a study. Studies are good. And if you want to read the study, go to my page, my website is boldrepublic.com, and it's at the top right of my reading assignment page. You can look at the whole study right there. But we don't just have studies now that show this. Well, there's even studies, you've heard this, right? There's even studies that show that unemployment benefits, when they're consistently extended, people remain unemployed longer. And I know people have said this to me. Yeah, I could have taken that job. You know, I really could have taken that job. But, you know, why? You know, it's just not the job that I want. And I'm getting these unemployment benefits, so I might as well just stay home and collect unemployment until I can get the job that I want. That's been shown. And as soon as unemployment benefits are cut off, suddenly people start finding work. That's already been shown. And you can gauge it state by state, even city by city, those cities that extend their unemployment benefits and those who don't. So all of the evidence is out there, and yet somebody else went ahead and put out another study. It's human nature, folks. That brings us right back to the problems that I was talking about last hour with the inner cities, like what's happening in Baltimore and Ferguson and in Detroit and inner city Chicago, places like that. When you give people an alternative to work. Now, I've complained before, and it's a theory of mine. I've had this theory before and given it to you, that when people don't have to work or they have just a lot of time on their hands, then they start getting into just a lot of nonsense. Like you'll find a lot of liberals worrying about things like gender-specific bathrooms, you know, something like, well, not even gender, well, forget gender, what's the word I'm looking for? Not gender specific, but when somebody feels that perhaps they're a different gender, we have to have a special gender neutral bathrooms. That's what I'm looking for. They start worrying about nonsense like that because they have all this time on their hands. They don't have time to think about ridiculous things like that if they're spending all of their time just working to make a living. And the same goes for neighborhoods like we're watching in Baltimore right now. If these young people had to get up every single day and go to work and work their full tails off just to bring home something to feed their family every single day, they wouldn't have time to join a gang. They'd be instead building their community because it would be required of them in order to eat. They would have to engage in building their community. In order to maintain a roof over their head, they would have to engage and get out there, get a job, build your community. Now, somebody who has the excuse, I don't have to work, all of this money is coming in for free from the government, what do they have to build? What do they have to show up for? Instead, they can just lie around, relax, complain. And if they really get bored, then they just start getting in trouble. Which is exactly what we're seeing out of places like Ferguson and Detroit, and now in Baltimore, inner city New York, same with Chicago, Los Angeles, can't forget Los Angeles. This is exactly what happened. Folks, we fostered this. This is why the social programmers out there want to accuse you of racism when you point out that their social programs, in fact, are the problem. You're not allowed to point out that the social programs are, in fact, the problem. You can't do that. Well, that destroys socialism. Therefore, you're a racist. They have to find some way to shut you up. And you're not even allowed to call thugs thugs anymore, apparently. I'd say go ahead and do it anyway. All right, at some point, the shift workers are going to start getting off work at the coal mines. I love saying that. The oil workers, the coal mine workers, the whistle's going to blow. They're going to shift. Day shift, night shift, rotate them out. And a lot of people are going to stop by places like Pants Liquor. If you're looking for a place in Northeast Wyoming that's just a cozy little place with good people, yes, there's televisions playing the games if that's what you want to watch. There's a humidor if you need that as well. Pants Liquor, they're located at Highway 59. They're right in Gillette, Wyoming, and they're gearing up now so you can get off work and relax in just about an hour from now. Stop by and see them. Highway 59 in Gillette.
Glenn Woods, BoldRepublic.com.
So over in that corner, we have three guys talking about Bigfoot. Over there, they're talking about the game that's on the TV above their heads. That table, I've lost track of what they were talking about a long time ago, but the conversation keeps getting louder. Then someone puts their favorite song in the jukebox, and here comes that guy who thinks he can dance, but he can't dance, but he thinks he can. Nobody really cares that he can. In a moment, I'm going to walk over to their giant humidor and pick out a nice stogie. They have great cigars in a huge humidor. Pants Liquor, where if you haven't made friends, then you haven't been there more than 2 minutes. Give it another minute and make some friends at Pants Liquor, 600 South Douglas Highway, Gillette, Wyoming, right next to Wells Fargo Bank. Happy hour, 4:30 till 7.
Hey, Luigi, that meal was so good. Mamma mia, that was even better than a mama made back in the old country. What is your wife's secret? Olive oil, 100% grown and pressed in the USA. She brought it from a Swede. Where can I find this Swede?
Give Swede a call, 686-0588, or go to swedespecialties.com.
Arrivederci.
Hello, Americans. This is Rod with your local American-made store here in Gillette, Wyoming, where it's always made right here in the USA. Have you seen our stainless steel art? It's beautiful. Yes, and he will do custom. Framed artwork. Check out our selection. Top-of-the-line stuff, olives, flavored olive oils. And yes, we have toys and Okabashi sandals. Free pocket constitution with purchase. We are the solution for this great nation. Get informed. Don't forget your veterans. God bless America, and buy American. It matters. MyMadeInAmericaStore.com.
She wouldn't acknowledge you at a press conference if she had one. She emails on her own server because it's convenient. As a Clinton, foreign governments donate to her. She is the least transparent person in the world. She emails often, and when she does, the public can't see it. Stay secretive, my friends.
When you dance like nobody is watching. And when you call Glenn, talk like the NSA and IRS are listening. Because most likely they are.
Guess who?
And they haven't had their daily dose of irreverent, insulting sarcasm today. We're counting on you. Call the show now.
This is the tin hat moment. I'm going to give you guys a moment to either grab your tinfoil hats and stick them on your heads, or get into the kitchen real quick, grab some tinfoil. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just wrap the stuff around your head as fast as you can. I warn people in advance that this is happening. I was talking to the author of this article today, asking him to come on to the show and explain this. And I hate to say his grandma died, so he was very close to her. So they're going through that right now. And then he promises he'll come on the show and we'll go ahead and talk about this. There, did you get your tin hats on? That was me buying you some time. Headline, here's how the NSA is trying to get your kids interested in a career on spying on innocent Americans. Really? The NSA is starting some kind, well, apparently they've got kids programs, things like that. Here's a story by Jason Pye. National Security Agency rolled out a website for kids featuring 9 characters and games and activities aimed at teaching children about gathering signals for intelligence. There's even a link that directs high school and college students to inform about programs at the NSA, as well as careers available at the, at the agency itself, if you want. So Dan Rail of Pando.com, Pando.com, attended a cybersecurity conference last week, of all places, San Francisco, and obtained a Crypto Kids Fun Book. Wow, a Crypto Kids Fun Book. Basically, a coloring and puzzle book featuring characters that appear on the kids-themed website. Quote, it's strange that the NSA, which takes such care to stay out of the public eye, would be so keen to capture the attention of and aspirations of the young. The book has a link to the NSA's kids website. The anthropomorphic kids, and if you're wondering what that is, anthropomorphic, really it's like half human, half cat, half human, half dog, that kind of a thing. That's what that means. So that's what the cartoon characters look like. Bugs Bunny would be anthropomorphic. Crypto kids is what they're called. Each one comes with bios and backstories. Characters include Decipher Dog, a signal intelligence analysis. T-Top, a teenager, not wearing a T-top, no, a turtle who specializes in computer science, and Rosie, a fox who also functions as a linguist analysis. Website features activities and games that interest kids that they can play online. They can also download printouts and make ciphers and coloring pages and so on. Now, just for the record, of course, this wasn't part of any government program, but when I was a kid, did you have one? Did you have a spy kit when you were a kid? Wasn't that cool? I had a spy kit when I was a kid. There's some really cool spy, and some of the spy kits that you can get as a kid, which were often bought by your parents for Christmas time. My parents got me a spy kit when I was a kid. It came with a gun. But anyway, fun stuff. But who were we spying on? Well, back in those days, we were spying on like the Soviet Union or China or something like that. Not spying on fellow Americans like the NSA side wants you to do. Some of the games and activities may be fun for kids, says Jason in the story, who like to color or play online games. But most of the activities have an expiration date. That is, older kids, those late middle school or the high school kids, are going to spend their time playing things that, actually are fun and entertaining, not filling out NSA books. Hey, I wonder something. Oh, yeah, from the front office. Love the decoder ring. Oh, yeah, the decoder rings are great. Hey, Dan's up in the front office. Dan did this great false commercial, which we play from time to time, Heebie-Jeebies, which is all about a convention for bureaucrats. If bureaucrats were to go to a bureaucratic convention, what would that look like? What about this? We are going to need another generation of bureaucrats in order to take care of all of the bureaucracy, which will be twice as big as the bureaucracy that we have today. What about a website with coloring books and paperwork to fill out so young kids can learn what fun it is to be a bureaucrat? You can sit around all day long filling. When you fill out the little boxes, the little check boxes, do you put a check in there? Or like my sister, the accountant, do you put like little smiley faces in there, like zeros and so on? What do you do? How can bureaucracy be fun and entertaining for kids? Hey, kids, want to be an IRS agent? Got to get them started young, folks. Would you like to audit your neighbors? Sure, if we're going to do the NSA thing, you want to spy on your neighbors. You want to read their emails and their text messages and tweets and so on. Fine. Then, hey, kids, how would you like to get a job working for the IRS, huh? You can find out all of your neighbors' finances and catch them cheating on their taxes. And even if they just made an honest mistake, so what? You can send them to jail. It's the next generation. We have to raise them properly. I mean, we are well past 1984. This is the next logical step, isn't the West. We moved here to be free, to get away from overbearing government rules, regulations, taxes, and to secure our liberty, except that they found us. So we have to restore the West to what it was meant to be, and we have a plan.
Sorry, sir. Me no speak English. You in Mexico. You make a wrong turn.
Let's move them along, folks. Herd them on through.
Hey! Can't you read, boy? No guns, no service. Where's your sidearm?
Whenever you come across a California license plate or someone from the East Coast like Massachusetts or New York, do whatever you can to keep them moving.
Sorry, sir. Wyoming has declared California license plates illegal. So has Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Nebraska. I'm afraid you can't stop until you get to Illinois.
Yes, the West will be the West again. As soon as we run off all the bleeding hearts, and we're working on it. Help us out, won't you? Brought to you by the Restore the West Foundation.
Frank Underwood. He's a leader, a mentor, a lover of animals. He's a passionate advocate for public transportation, yet still volunteers to be a designated driver. Frank cares about our military. He cares about his staff. He cares about doing the right thing the right way. Frank knows the meaning of a hard, honest day's work, and he cut off Gwyneth Paltrow's head and sent it to Brad Pitt in a cardboard box. Is Frank Underwood tough enough to take on Vladimir Putin? Bitch, please. He once stabbed Superman. Frank Underwood. He put Gwyneth Paltrow's head in a box.
Jenkins!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jenkins, how's that project to build the new computer system coming along?
Oh, just fine, sir.
Just fine?
Yes, sir. We are way ahead of schedule.
You are?
Yes, sir, and under budget.
Under?
Sir, we're going to save our client a lot of money.
Good God, man.
And all systems are working perfectly as designed, sir.
But why would you do that?
I don't understand, sir. I thought you would be pleased.
Son, it's a government project.
Oh, dear Lord! I wish you had said so.
They are going to be really pissed off beyond belief, Jenkins.
Right, sir. I'll get right out there and screw everything up.
Attaboy.
And I'm sure it'll cost double the budget to make a mess of it all.
Now you're talking spare no expense.
No, sir. Never with the taxpayers' money.
Dedicated. Reliable-ish, hardworking from 10 to 3 Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. They are the American bureaucrat because the engine that was America's progress and success was running a little too fast and efficient. Who knows where all of this innovation and success was going? So for the good of the nation, somebody needed to slow it down. It took a lot of paper to jam up those gears of progress, but no one knows paper like the bureaucrat. And America was too rich compared to the rest of the world. Can't have that. No one knows how to make your money disappear like the proud men and women of the American bureaucracy. So, America, take all your great ideas and big dreams and flush them. And if you find your dreams coming true, don't worry. The American bureaucracy has a ton of paperwork and a line for you to stand in. Bureaucracy, slowing progress and freedom for a more humble America.
So, yes, Glenn is pro-gun, but we only let him have one bullet, and we make him keep it in his pocket.
Sound familiar?
Inside that man's body is a little child calling out for help.
Let's get back in there. Here's Glenn Woods.
Bold Public Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Open phones. Change the subject if you want, or talk about what I'm talking about. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. That's 307-363-4093. And pretty much everything I'm talking about and a whole lot more, you'll find it on my website, which is boldrepublic.com. Question I just thought of. Okay. So that mom that I was talking about in the first hour of the program that was acting like a real mom. I mean, this is what parenting is. Caught her son trying to participate in the Baltimore riots. Again, he's wearing black jeans, black hoodie, black backpack. And besides pulling the hoodie up, he had also pulled a black mask up over his, or cloth or whatever, up around his mouth and nose to try to hide his appearance. But his mom knew who he was. Boy, she did. And she just got out there and, boy, what you doing here? And started smacking him around right in front of everybody, grabbing him by the back of the collar and leading his fool butt home. He's probably grounded for a year. Dear Lord, all he could do was fight like crazy. Do you think, well, I'm trying to defend himself. You're not going to defend yourself against that. By the way, yes, her hair is perfect. Her hair is absolutely perfect through the whole thing. I just can't believe it. Do you think that she can be charged with child abuse? I don't call that child abuse. I call that good parenting. But is somebody going to see that and decide to charge her with child abuse? I wouldn't, personally, but I worry that there's some people out there who might. Let me give you a great example. I've told you guys over the past few months about something called free-range kids. And the idea that we have to bring up something like free-range kids is absolutely ridiculous. I was a free-range kid. Most of you were free-range kids. Free-range kid is just, hey, I'm going to go out and play, Mom. Okay, be back by dinner. That was it. And we were doing that from a very young age. Now, if there is not an adult within sight of the kids, the parents are hauled in. They're threatening to take the kids away. That's where we're at right now. All right, and I told you about the couple, that Maryland couple, that sent their kids up to the park. Kids wanted to go play in the park. It's right up the road. It's a mile up the road. And they're walking home, and twice now, the police showed up. Second time, the police pretty much just kidnapped the kids, took them to the police station, didn't tell the parents where the kids were. They had to go find them. So these parents are being defiant now. I mean, and they're directly engaging in acts of defiance to fight this. They're not just taking it to court. Something interesting is going to happen on May 9th. May 9th, groups of parents are urging you, if you're a parent, to let your kid walk home without parental supervision. Now, I was watching some people on some morning talk shows, different networks and so on. They have to bring on the psychologists and so on. I was watching them having a discussion about this. And one of the guys is ex-cop. And the ex-cop is saying, well, I would worry about that. I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, as a cop, I had to deal with, pedophiles, and there's all sorts of horrible people out there. But the anchor reporter, whatever, the host, was smart enough to point out, do you understand the percentage of kids that are kidnapped or abused in some way every year is less than 1%? That is way down. Things have gotten better over the years, not worse. Things have actually gotten better, not worse. Kids kidnapped, abused, murdered, whatever, something like that. All of those crimes combined, less than 1%. Wow. And so, yeah, there are dangers out there. Now, some of these so-called experts were acting like, no, we send these kids home. I mean, on May 9th, if all the kids went walking home together, or just across America, just went walking home without parental supervision, dear God, it's a pet. One guy actually said this. It's a pedophile's smorgasbord. I don't think so. There was a story I told you guys about a month or so ago. some pervert had grabbed a kid off the street and was trying to run down the street carrying the kid to his van. Yes, there was a van involved. The brothers and sisters, who were young themselves, gave chase. Other neighborhood kids joined in. He never got away with it. Oh, we could do this. Sure, absolutely we can do it. In other words, I'm not buying into, well, what's going to happen is a bunch of pedophiles are going to get out there and they're going to kidnap all. Absolutely not. In fact, one of the things you have to teach your kids from an early age is how to identify creepy people and how to handle the situation. If you don't teach them from an early age how they're going to handle the real world, we've actually come to this. It's come to this, that parents have to have a protest where they tell their kids, walk home from school. Imagine that. Nick from the Campbell County Observer writes on a video screen, I imagine some authoritarian prosecuting attorney will charge her, that would be the mom, who is beating the snot out of her son during the riots and telling him to get his fool butt home. Wonder what his chores are going to be for the next few days. But she shouldn't be charged not for parenting. No, if anything, Nick, honestly speaking, I'd like to give her the Mom of the Year award. In fact, you know something, Nick? Maybe we can, I don't know who she is. Maybe we can only do it online. We ought to come up with some Mom of the Year award. I need to post a video for that, at very least. Also, according to Donna, a perfect hair award while beating the snot out of her son.
Okay, this is the last time.
Oh, God.
We want the best value for the price, right?
Right.
Normally, we get a case of 24 beers, 12 ounces each, giving us 288 ounces.
God, I suck at math.
But Jack's has on sale Bud Light case, 24 cans, 16 ounces each, giving us 384 ounces for only $24.21.
Ooh, that's good.
That gives us an extra 96 extra ounces or 8 additional 12-ounce beers for about 50 cents more.
Or
for a little less math, we can get a 6-pack of Bud Light 16-ounce cans for only $6.82.
You make beer math fun. For great deals and easy math, it's Jack's, the Adult Daycare Center, 302 East 2nd Street, across from Napa Auto Parts. Get a case of Bud Light 16-ounce cans for $24.21 or a 6-pack for $6.82. Now that I did all the math, I think you owe me a beer.
Wait, I did the math.
Do you live in Gillette, Cheyenne, Sundance, Laramie, Buffalo? Do you have a Class A CDL with a doubles endorsement? Do you like making money? If you answered yes, Aulick Leasing can help you. Apply online at aulickleasing.com or give me, Chris Anderson, a call, 308-633-4023. That's 308-633-4023.
You could either spend $100 getting your phone fixed, or you could go ahead and spend $400 to replace it. At SelectTel Wireless and Gillette, we fix phones. Most generally, what breaks is the digitizer or the LCD. This is from being dropped, being smashed, thrown against the wall. Now, seriously, 9 times out of 10, people throw their phones. Well, we can fix that too. Save money, fix it, don't replace it. Come see us at SelectTel Wireless, next to Office Depot in Gillette, Wyoming. But if you do need a new phone, we have those too.
Hey, man, what's up? Nice weather, that's what. It's finally warm enough to light up the grill.
Hey, I'm on my way. Hey, you need anything? I'm stopping at Don's Supermarket first.
Keeping it local, I like it. Could you pick up some hot dogs and some buns and maybe some charcoal?
Yeah, no problem. Is there anything else you need?
Yeah, can you also pick up some assorted pork chops for $1.89 a pound and some Maxwell House coffee for $7.49? And get some Surefine waffles and pancakes, 2 for $3. Also get some Washington Fancy apples for 99 cents a pound and seedless watermelons for 49 cents a pound. They're all on sale until Tuesday.
Really? You want some matches to light that grill too?
No, I have a match. Well, just one. So you might need to pick some of those up too. It's a good thing you're going to Don's because, they have everything. Hello? Hello? Don's Supermarket in Gillette, 1501 West 2nd Street.
I suppose you're planning a nice retirement and you assume everything is paid for. But Wyoming didn't tell you. Who is paying for your pension?
I'm gonna owe lots of money. And it's all your fault. I want to pay for this, but you're making me.
Find out more at Wyoming2100.com.
Hey, aren't those gun-free zone signs just great? I mean, all you have to do is just take this sign and put it up on your building like so, and voila! Nobody will come in or rob and shoot up the place because you got the sign. Well, if it works for guns, why not other things like bank robber-free zone sign at every bank in America? No terrorism sign. See, all you have to do is stick a no Islamic jihad sign on every single building in the financial district of New York City, the power grid, our food supply. There you go. That's it. Safe as can be. Here, just have your child wear this no kidnapping this kid t-shirt and voila, your kid is safe. Now, why didn't we think of this years ago?
Hello. Yes, I think Glenn is going to take your call next, but don't call him Glenn. He wants to be called Pasty White Guy. Oh, no, he takes it as a compliment. Trust me. Wait, here we go.
Back to the show. Back to Glenn Woods.
So for those out there in the front office, members of the crack research staff and management, we need to get Budweiser as a sponsor of this program. And here's why. Not only is it the breakfast of champions, not only are there people out there in the front office who just love themselves a good bud, but now apparently Budweiser has been designated as the official beer of rape culture. Yes, rape culture. Now, for the record, there is no such thing as rape culture. Just like there is no such thing as hands up, don't shoot. Okay, so just like the Tea Party is not a racist organization. There's just a list of lies. Okay. Just like calling someone a thug is not the new N-word. It is not microaggression or anything like that. Somebody who vandalizes the store, robs from it, then sets it on fire is a thug. Look the word up, for Pete's sakes. Okay. In the latest insipid manufactured internet controversy comes to us from BuzzFeed, of course. BuzzFeed News reports they've whipped up a frenzy by targeting that most famous of American beers, Budweiser, Breakfast of Champions. It's a new advertising slogan, not the Breakfast of Champions, as part of Anheuser-Busch's new marketing campaign for a flagship product, Bud Light. The company is promoting the beer as the perfect accompaniment for whatever. Oh, whatever. So because they say Budweiser goes perfect with whatever, they're now saying that BuzzFeed, well, that's rape culture. Who said anything about? All right, let's read on here. Quote, the perfect beer for whatever happens is the slogan. It's accompanied with a Twitter hashtag up for whatever, as it happens. Whatever might include rape, according to BuzzFeed. Quote, keeping it in line with their up for whatever marketing campaign, Bud Light appears to have a new slogan on their bottles. Their perfect beer for removing no from your vocabulary. Might as well be that, they said. By Tuesday afternoon, it started to make waves on social media for the company's apparent tone deafness when it comes to the role that alcohol plays in the rape culture. According to the crack research staff at the front office, our beer expert said, yes, there is a beer expert in our, there is a beer expert in our front office. Trust me. On this show, come on, I'm the cigar expert. Our beer expert says it is no longer an American company. Bud is owned by Germans. Aha! So we now understand it's not just a rape culture. It's a Nazi rape culture. Oh, I get it now.
coal we have here in America, it keeps America's energy secure. We have an abundance of coal here in the United States. We don't have to go outside our own country to get it. In the Powder River Basin alone, we have 100 billion tons of coal that we can mine. In a square mile, there's 80 million tons of coal. All the mines combined here in the Powder River Basin, we're only doing 6 to 7 miles a year. We have reserves for years and years and years to keep America full of energy. My older brother's in Afghanistan doing his part to take care of national security, to take care of his kids and my kids and everybody.
Let's say goodbye. Say goodbye.
So we're doing everything we can here in Wyoming to strengthen the country too. What I'm doing here is by no means, I don't put any level what he's doing over there. But if I can make America stronger and better and make it better for Americans by giving them clean, efficient, low-priced energy, then I'm doing my part. I'm making America better.
Jason's grandparents built this ranch, and we worked hard to keep it in the family. So we do our best to protect what's ours. With all the stories out there, some people were surprised that we allowed fracking on our land. But we talked with experts and learned the facts about drilling for oil and natural gas. And guess what? It's safe. Safe for our land, our water, and the air. When you know the facts, you understand why we need this now and for the future.
Learn the facts at energyfromshale.org.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That changed my life.
At that moment, it hit me. This is why I joined the Guard. We're soldiers, always ready to protect our country. But we've also got communities. Family, friends, neighbors who count on us. I couldn't believe it. I just saved a life to somebody from my hometown. See what it means to be a citizen soldier at NationalGuard.com.
Sorting through the nonsensical nonsense that makes your life a living hell. It's Glenn Woods. BoldRepublic.com.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. A chance to get your calls in, change the subject, or talk about what I'm talking about. That's fine. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. That's 307-363-4093. And as always, pretty much everything I talk about, a whole lot more. My website is boldrepublic.com. So I'm so glad. And this is by choice, by the way, and many of you listening to me choose to live this way as well, that I don't have to sit around worrying about every little thing that is a fake controversy. So, obviously, when Budweiser beer said, hey, Budweiser, when you're up for whatever, it's a great little slogan. Doesn't matter what you're doing, and do it with a Budweiser, except maybe if you're like drinking and driving, skydiving and drinking might be a bad thing. But for the most part, whatever, you know, what are you doing tonight? Yeah, whatever. The idea that that would be rape culture is absolute nonsense, of course. But what do we have is a bunch of people who are looking for a controversy to call their own. And you have to be sensitive to everything. You have to be offended by everything. Obviously. You're not allowed to speak the truth, like earlier in the program when I was saying, yeah, these punk thugs that are ripping apart a city. You can turn on your television and watch these punk thugs ripping apart a city. I'm not allowed to say that because that's either microaggression or just flat out aggression. And I'm just using another N-word. What are they trying to do? Just get me to be ashamed of what I'm saying? And I'm not, because I'm just telling you what the truth of the matter is. I'm supposed to be ashamed. I'm supposed to shut up. I'm so glad I don't live in that world. A world of fake controversies. It's I don't know how miserable it is to be these people who come up with all of this garbage that we're supposed to be offended by every single day. Every single day we're bombarded. Well, pardon me. Those people who live in that world bombard themselves. You know what gets me is the companies who cave in. I really hope Budweiser doesn't cave into this. They should just tell them to get stuffed. That's our slogan. There's no rape culture about it. We're not changing it. It's a fake controversy. Get lost, drop dead, you idiots. That's what they should say. Honestly, let them make a controversy about it. There's no reason we should be ashamed of it at all. For those folks out there who love to get up early on Sunday morning and go to church on Sunday, and you live in flyover country, there are those out there who want you to be ashamed of who you are and what you are. And there's nothing to be ashamed of, because you're a decent, hardworking person who cares about your community. You care about those people around you. And so every single day you do what you need to do to support your family, your community. You work hard, you study hard. You're a decent person. Now, we're supposed to have sympathy for these thugs that are ripping apart Baltimore right now. We're supposed to understand them and have sympathy. So let me see if I can get this. Because don't do what I'm doing, folks. I'm a trained professional. I can handle this. What they're saying to you is, if you are somebody who gets up early in the morning and works hard all day to support your family, so you're not a burden on society. So everything that you own, everything that you do, you earned, you worked hard for it, you're in possession of it because you earned that. You built that. And on Sunday, you grab your Bible and you go to church. Because you know something, you're supporting your community, among other things. After church, you like to grab a Budweiser, for those who are sipping saints, and head out because, you're clinging to your guns and Bible. You do some hunting, some target practice, whatever. What are you doing? You're just being an average American. That's all. And you've never hurt anybody. You've never done anything wrong. And for some reason, you're just a flathead racist from flyover country, and you should be ashamed. You're guilty of racism and microaggression. You're just mad because a black man is president. This is what they're trying to accuse you of, and you know as well as I do, not a word of it is true. In the meantime, social programs put together by socialists in big government, those same social programs that created the culture that you see in places like Detroit and Illinois and New York and Los Angeles, Baltimore, Ferguson. We now see that has created generations of punk thugs who stand in front of the television cameras, flipping people off, screaming racial slurs, beating up anybody who doesn't have a skin color like their own, robbing stores, smashing out all the windows, setting the place on fire. Apparently, according to these nut jobs on the left, those are the good guys. And you need to have sympathy and understand them. Well, I don't understand them. And I'm not going to take time to do it. They're a bunch of punk thugs that are a danger to society. They're a danger to their own families in society. And you're the good guys. You're the guys who actually care about freedom and liberty and responsibility and God and guns and country. You're the good guys. Keep that in mind. You're not guilty of diddly squat.
We over-incarcerate more people than any other country on the face of the planet.
Hi, I'm Jackie Bodner, Communications Director for FreedomWorks, and I'm here today with Neil Franklin, who is a 33-year law enforcement veteran and the Executive Director for LEAP, which is an easier way of saying Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. Neil, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me, Jackie.
FreedomWorks has been involved in a number of different civil liberties issues in the past couple of years, but criminal justice reform is a relatively new issue set for us. Can you talk a little bit about why, if you're not a criminal, why should you care about criminal justice reform?
Well, first, if you care about your pocketbook, you definitely should care about this. Drug enforcement alone, we spend over $50 billion every year in cops, courtrooms, and prisons. That's a very hefty price tag. On average, to incarcerate someone in this country per year, hard cost only now, we're spending about anywhere from $35,000 to $50,000, depending upon where you are in the country. Now multiply that by 2 million people a year. You know, on top of that, no one has calculated the indirect cost of someone being incarcerated. And not just incarcerated, once they come out and back into community, they can't find a job. It's very difficult for someone to get a job because of the stigma of having a conviction on your record. So what does that cost you indirectly? You know, they become somewhat of a ward of the state.
It seems that we've moved beyond simply tough on crime, and it's more of a system that's really just tough on civilians. Can you talk about why that's problematic, both for citizens, but also dangerous for law enforcement?
Many people still don't know that we are 25%, that we hold 25% of the world's prisoners in this country, but yet we are only 5% of the world's population. We over-incarcerate more people than any other country on the face of the planet. And it's primarily because of our drug war. And most of those people that we put in prison for drug-related crimes are for nonviolent crimes.
So I know you've had somewhat of a personal evolution when it comes to your positions on some of these issues. Can you talk a little bit about how you got there?
Yeah, I guess it begins with a very tragic situation when I was I'd just begun working for the Baltimore Police Department as the head of training. I'd retired from the Maryland State Police. And this was 2000, the year 2000, October 30th to be exact. A good friend of mine, Ed Totley, was an undercover narcotics agent with the Maryland State Police. And he was working undercover right here in Washington, D.C. with the FBI on a Safe Streets campaign. And he was buying cocaine from a mid-level drug dealer. And it was supposed to be the last buy of cocaine. And then they were going to take this guy down and do what we do, try to work our way up the chain and for other people. But this time, this individual decided that he wanted to keep both the money and the drugs. We call that a rip. That's when he just shot Ed Totley at point blank range in the side of his head and killed him. It was that incident that just made me pause long enough to realize that something's just not right, because I reflected back on other police officers who I knew that were killed in similar circumstances. So it was violence that opened my eyes to something being wrong with our drug policies. And from that point on, I started learning other things like mass incarceration. I had no idea how many people we were putting in prison. You know, I had no idea that the people we put in prison for nonviolent crimes, and as you know, it's many, they eventually return to us. Now, when they return to us, they have the stigma of a conviction, which makes it very difficult for them to get a job. But when they went into prisons, are not, these are not kindergarten classes. These are not preschool classes, right? They're very violent, and many gangs run prisons. If you go into prison as a nonviolent person, it's a very high chance that you're going to return back to us with violent tendencies, because you have to defend yourself. You're either going to be predator or prey.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That changed my life.
At that moment, it hit me. This is why I joined the Guard. We're soldiers, always ready to protect our country. But we've also got communities. family, friends, neighbors who count on us. I couldn't believe it. I just saved a life to somebody from my hometown.
See what it means to be a citizen soldier at NationalGuard.com. So, yes, Glenn is pro-gun, but we only let him have one bullet, and we make him keep it in his pocket.
Sound familiar?
Inside that man's body is a little child calling out for help.
Let's get back in there. Here's Glenn Woods.
Not negotiating behind closed doors, but bringing all parties together and broadcasting those negotiations on C-SPAN so that the American people can see what the choices are. Because part of what we have to do is enlist the American people in this process.
These negotiations will be on C-SPAN. And so the public will be part of the conversation and will see the choices that are being made.
We will work on this process publicly, streaming over the net.
I'm in this race to tell the lobbyists in Washington that their days of setting the agenda are over. They will not work in my White House. That's why lobbyists set the agenda. And that's why they won't drown out your voices anymore when I am president of the United States of America. Having inherited a $1 trillion deficit, it will take a long time for us to close. We need to focus on what we need to move the economy forward, not on what's nice to have. That's why on Monday I held a fiscal summit to come up with a plan to put us on a more sustainable path.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
Okay, so the Supreme Court is hearing arguments on same-sex marriage. Well, should the court rule in a certain way, ministers have a message for the court. It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. As always, pretty much everything I talk about and a whole lot more, you'll find it on my website, which is boldrepublic.com. That includes the app for the show. So you can watch the video of the show. You can download the audio. You can go to the app for the show. The app is free, by the way. Just go to your app store. Just type in Bold Republic. Up comes the little round logo. Boom, done. There you are. Simple as that. Listen to the show whenever you want to listen to the show. And I've done it before. There are people who will call in when the show is not live. They just heard something and they want to call. You can call anytime. And we'll go ahead and take your call and get your call on the air. Because it's that important to us. So a lot of people don't listen to the show when it's live just because, they're busy, they have lives, things like that. All right. Here's the story from Todd Starnes, Fox News. We will not obey. That's a quote. Christian leaders are threatening civil disobedience if the Supreme Court legalizes same-sex marriage. We're just not going to obey. Now, nor should they. Well, look, it's something that's just fundamentally against their religion. Now, for those on the opposition to this, you can go ahead and claim all you want. Well, that's a form of bigotry. If that's the way you want to classify it, go ahead, whatever. That's their religion. That's what their religion is. Now, notice I'm not telling you what my opinion here is, because my opinion in this case is not the issue. The churches, there are churches out there, don't just think Christian churches, there are churches out there that have a problem with same-sex marriage. It's against their religious beliefs. Churches, synagogues, mosques, and name whatever other religion you can think of. They have a problem with this. And what about that? Every time I hear the people on the left screaming, well, those Christians, are you going to make Muslims perform same-sex marriages in the mosque? I'm asking, I'm not trying to be flippant here. I'm asking very seriously. Are you going to make the Muslims in America perform same-sex weddings? Okay, so if the Supreme Court rules that writing laws barring same-sex weddings is unconstitutional and churches have to perform same-sex weddings, well, so what are you going to do with the mosques and the synagogues and all the other religions out there? There's going to be an uprising here because in this country we have freedom of religion, and sometimes certain religions believe things that other people just don't believe in. Okay, so you're going to have to deal with that now. And our Constitution is very clear. Hands off. Government cannot write any laws. In this case, Congress wouldn't be writing a law, but government is not allowed to write any law regarding religion. So you can't order them to do same-sex weddings. Sorry, you can't. All right. Now, I had a solution for this a while ago. For those who didn't hear it, I'm going to briefly name it again. I would separate the process even more. For those people that want to get married at a church and you're a same-sex couple, there are churches out there that will perform those weddings. So go ahead. But I would separate it in the sense that when a church performs a wedding, it's just a ceremony. Okay, so the church can say, well, as far as our church is concerned, you're married in the eyes of God. But that has nothing to do with the government legal contract of marriage, and government sees marriage as a legal contract between a couple of people. That's how they honestly see it. It's a legal contract. So for that, you go down to the courthouse. That's a completely different thing. To me, I look at that and think, no, you can now go ahead and separate it out and quit, by the way, quit trying to get people who disagree with you, quit trying to force them to do things that they don't want to do. We're supposed to be in a free country, which means a lot of other beliefs out there, and you're just going to have to respect their beliefs. That's where I keep throwing up the argument, and I think it's probably one of the best ones out there, honestly, is so I wouldn't go to a kosher deli and demand a ham sandwich out of respect. Do the same thing. Well, let's get into the Todd Starn story. We will not obey is the blunt warning a group of prominent religious leaders is sending to the Supreme Court of the United States as they consider same-sex marriage. Quote, we respectfully warn the Supreme Court not to cross that line. By the way, I wonder what happens in those states, because I can answer this question, but let me just think out loud here. In those states that do allow same-sex marriage, what happens then if, let's say, you have a Catholic church and that church is just simply not going to do it? Well, we already know the answer to that. In that case, the state, whatever state you're talking about, let's say Massachusetts, just leaves those churches alone and just says, well, they don't have to. They're exempt. They're a Catholic church. We're not going to ask them to. And they just leave them alone. So there is a solution to that. But back to the Todd Starr's story. That's a tongue twister there. We respectfully warn the Supreme Court, said the religious leaders, not to cross the line. They sent a document called Pledge in Solidarity to Defend Marriage. Quote, we stand united together in defense of marriage. Make no mistake about our resolve. So they're pledging civil disobedience here. Quote, while there are many things we can endure, redefining marriage is so fundamental to the nature and order of the common good that it is a line we must draw and one we cannot, will not cross, the pledge states. Now, the signees are a who's who of religious and, well, just leaders across America. Like, for example, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, he's a minister, by the way, U.S. Senator Rick Santorum, national religious broadcaster, President Jerry Johnson, Pastor John Hagee, Franklin Graham, President and CEO of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association and Samaritan's Purse, and on it goes. The pledge was crafted by Rick Santorum, the president of Vision America Action, James Dobson of Focus on the Family Talk Radio. Well, there's a lot of people out there who know what Dr. Dobson is. Actually, I first heard Dr. Dobson on the radio when I think I was in my late teens when I first heard him. He's recently retired from speaking on the radio, but his Focus on the Family radio shows is one of the largest Christian radio shows that's out there. So his name on it, not surprised at all. Quote, we're sending a warning to the Supreme Court and, frankly, any court that crosses the line on the issue on marriage. And some of the signers said here they have same-sex marriages elevated to the level of a protected status. It will by the courts. It will transform the face of society and result in the beginning of the end of Western civilization, they believe. Okay, now, again, for those people out there who believe that with them, you know something? You're allowed to believe that. You're in a free country. Some people are going to call you bigoted for believing that, but you're allowed to believe things like this because you're in a free country. See, that's just part of tolerance, folks. I continue to hear the left talk about tolerance, but it's only tolerance if you agree with them. What about for those people who believe things that you just don't believe? Frankly, I'm for tolerance on all sides here, because when I see a same-sex couple, here's literally what goes through my mind. None of my business. It's as simple as that. It's none of my business. It's not a matter if I agree with it or not. It's not a matter if I like it or not. The answer simply is it's none of my business what they do with their lives. They're free people in a free country. From the story, quote, you are essentially saying that boys and girls don't need moms and dads, and they go into all the reasons why for their religious reasons. Dr. James Dobson said the legalization of same-sex marriage could fracture the nation. This is what their beliefs are. Quote, the institution of marriage, they say, is fundamental and must be defended. If the foundation for the entire culture, which has existed for 5,000 years, if you weaken it or undermine it, the entire structure comes down. They see that as important. Okay, so people of faith are going to gather around. And all right, now, as the Supreme Court hears this argument, here's something else I wonder about. Let's get away from the article that I just read, because we already understand that what they think. I wonder about a states' rights issue. Here's the first problem that I had. As states started legalizing same-sex marriage, they did it through the courts. Well, that's not how things are supposed to be changed in that sense. It's not for the court to decide things, the right legislation. In the case of Massachusetts, the Supreme Court of Massachusetts actually said to the legislator in Massachusetts, the House and Senate, you are going to write a law making same-sex marriage legal. The court ordered the legislator. Now, you're supposed to have 3 equal branches of government. The legislative body actually went and did it. And the court in Massachusetts looked at the law they wrote and said, nope, not good enough, sent it back and said, do it again. Now, whether the legislative body in Massachusetts agreed with the court's decision or not, the court's order or not, they should have told the court to get stuffed. Because you have 3 equal branches of government in Massachusetts between the House, the Senate, so in other words, the legislative body, and the governor's office and the court. Those are 3 equal branches of government. That's how that's supposed to work. So for those who would like to have a federal law legalizing marriage, my question is, well, then what are you going to do about the states? Because there's also a separation of powers with the states. So what if there are states out there who don't want to legalize it? Now, that's the way that, when I think of structure in this country, that's what I wonder about. This is honestly, as much as the same-sex movement doesn't want to admit this, you're going to have to fix, well, if they want to do it right, I don't think they care about doing it right or not. They're going to have to fix this on a state-by-state level. What bothers me is the definition of marriage in the state that I'm in, Wyoming, was changed through a federal court. A federal court changed Wyoming's law. Well, the federal court should have no jurisdiction over Wyoming's law. If Wyoming declares that same-sex marriage is not a marriage, then that either needs to be changed through the legislative body, or if the court is going to say that that law is against the Wyoming Constitution, a Wyoming court can do it. It should have never been decided by a federal court. But, of course, our governor, not only is he a liberal, he has an R by his name for a Republican, but he's a liberal. But he's also a lawyer. So he just let it happen.
Glenn Woods, BoldRepublic.com.
Do you live in Gillette, Cheyenne, Sundance, Laramie, Buffalo? Do you have a Class A CDL with a doubles endorsement? Do you like making money? If you answered yes, Aulick Leasing can help you. Apply online at aulickleasing.com or give me, Chris Anderson, a call, 308-633-4023. That's 308-633-4023.
Howdy, folks. This is Swede from Swede Specialties here in Gillette. Do you know that Swede carries bottles? I mean bottles. Beer bottles, wine bottles, Easy Cat bottles, 3 different sizes and colors, jugs and growlers, even ice wine bottles. Plus all the corks and caps to go on them. Corkers and cappers too, plus all the makings to go in them. Give Swede a call, 686-0588, or go to SwedeSpecialties.com.
Hello, Americans. This is Rob with your
Presidential
local
candidate
American-made
Hillary
store
Clinton
here in Gillette,
changed her
Wyoming. Where it's
avatar
always
on
made
Twitter
right
and
here in the
Facebook
USA.
pages on
Have you seen our
Tuesday.
stainless steel
When the
art?
Supreme
It's
Court
beautiful.
will hear
Yes,
historic
and we will
arguments
do
in
custom
cases that
framed
could make
artwork. Check out our
same-sex marriage a
selection. Top of the
federal
line
law.
stuff, olives,
Justices
flavored
will
olive oil.
indicate where they
Yes, we
stand
have
in the
toys
dispute
and
over whether
Okabashi
states can
sandals. Free
continue
pocket
defining marriage
constitution
as
with
the
purchase.
union of
We
a man
are
and
the
a woman,
solution for this
or
great
whether the
nation. Get
Constitution
informed. Don't
gives
forget
gay
your
and
veterans.
lesbian
God bless
couples the right
America.
to marry.
Buy America.
In April, Clinton spoke out about
MyMadeInAmericaStore.com.
same-sex marriage,
Does
calling
your
it a
company have a
constitutional
website?
right.
No? Well, then
Adrian
maybe you
Elbaum,
want to talk to
Clinton's
us.
spokeswoman,
We
said
are
in a statement,
CGI. We're the
Hillary
company
Clinton
that built
supports marriage equality and hopes the
healthcare.gov.
Supreme Court will
That's
come
right,
down on the
President
side of same-sex
Obama's
couples being
Obamacare
guaranteed
site.
that
Maybe you've
constitutional
heard of
right.
us. We've certainly made lots of news. Healthcare.gov only cost us over $6.5 million to create. And that's perfectly affordable for a small company like yours, especially if you're taking government subsidies. Tired of those annoying customers always getting through and keeping you busy? Well, with a CGI website, we guarantee that that's never gonna happen. And because your company is subsidized by the government, it doesn't matter how much business you do or don't do, the money just keeps rolling on in. Want more information on how you can have one of these government websites and collect government subsidies to stay in business? Well, just log on to our website now, CGI.com. Well, if you can, but you probably can't. But we designed it that way, so we don't expect to hear from you anytime soon. CGI, providing last decade's technology for a modern world. When you dance like nobody is watching. And when you call Glenn, talk like the NSA and IRS are listening. Because most likely they are. Guess who? And they haven't had their daily dose of irreverent, insulting sarcasm today. We're counting on you. Call the show now.
It's a Bold Republic radio show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Chris is watching on the video stream. I have a question, he writes. Would these pro same-sex marriage, anti-religious people, how would they react? If there is an increase in followers of Eastern religions who bring their own form of intolerance to the United States, including including murder. And this, Chris, is part of what I was asking at the beginning of my little rant there. So I'd like to know, seriously, I'd like to know from the left. So you want to order churches. Is that what you want? Let's ask the question now. Is it your intention to order churches to perform same-sex weddings? Okay. Are you going to go into the synagogue and do the same thing? I don't know the answer to that. I'm asking him the question. Next. So are you going to go into the mosques and ask that of the Muslims? Because you know how opposed they look. In the Mideast, in places like Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, et cetera, you find someone who's a homosexual, you throw him off a building, literally, or behead the guy. Literally. So my question now is, okay, guys, now do you want to do this for all these religions? You're going to force all these religions. I'm just saying, before you do this, and what other religions haven't we thought of? Because all I've done is name the major religions out there. What about all these other sub-religions that you and I have never heard of before? You're going to force them to? Okay. Just tossing that out there, food for thought, worth thinking about. Hillary Clinton has switched her. You're going to love this. Hillary, you remember Hillary put out that horrible H, which was supposed to be her logo, and everybody's been having fun with her logo. Everybody has. Well, they've redone the logo. It's a rainbow now. Why would it be a rainbow? Well, at some point, Hillary had something to say about same-sex marriage. She said marriage needs to be traditional. Her words. We have a video of it. You can go look it up. Hillary Clinton saying that marriage is between a man and a woman and we need to keep it traditional. She said that. Then all of a sudden, here comes Hillary wanting to run for re-election. And, well, hold on now. And we were able to take that and throw that to the liberals. On Tuesday, here's the story. On Tuesday, that's today, Supreme Court hearing arguments on whether the Constitution of the United States mandates that states accept legally sponsored same-sex marriage. Okay, well, the 2016 Democrat presidential candidate Hillary changed her avatar on Twitter from a normal logo to a rainbow logo. That's what you're saying there. And for those who are listening on radio stations and on Spreaker and apps and so on, it's just the Hillary H with the arrow. Just picture it a rainbow. I mean, rainbow colors. Odd change for a woman whose evolution on same-sex marriage has magically mirrored the polls. Isn't that interesting? In 2004, Hillary Clinton called traditional marriage, quote, this is a quote, the fundamental bedrock principle that existed between a man and a woman. I'm going to quote that again. I'm quoting Hillary Clinton. The fundamental bedrock principle that exists between a man and a woman. And then she added, quote, marriage, said Hillary, marriage is not just a bond, but a sacred bond between a man and a woman. Well, first off, before I go any further, hey, Hillary, tell that to Bill. Because apparently he doesn't agree with you. And I kind of wonder from rumors that we've heard over the years whether she agrees with that either, but that's a whole nother thing, whether she ever had affairs or not. At the time, the Washington Examiner points out 60% of Americans opposed same-sex marriage. By 2007, Hillary had moved her support to civil unions. Pew showed that 54% of Americans opposed same-sex marriage. The polls moved, she moved. 2011, Hillary said the New York's decision to embrace same-sex marriage had given visibility and credibility to the whole movement. Pew showed that now 46% of Americans now support same-sex marriage. Suddenly, her opinion has changed. Okay. So, and again, notice it's not my concern or opinion. When I see a same-sex couple, my opinion is it's none of my business. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. It's simply none of my business. I'm talking about Hillary's opinion here, which has changed. But we don't know what she really thinks deep down inside. We know what the Clintons think based on what the polls say. If we suddenly found it went completely the opposite the other way, we would change our opinion on it. Well, that's the way the Clintons roll, isn't it? Say whatever to get elected. Do whatever to get elected. Doesn't matter what you really think. Now, I would have a lot more respect if Hillary, let's say, long time ago, years ago, she said she was in favor of same-sex marriage and she stuck to her guns. Or she said she wasn't in favor of it, and despite the polls, she stuck to her guns. Whether I agree with someone or not, and I think most Americans are like this. We're not so impressed with the politicians that roll with the polls. Look, everybody changes their minds about things over the years. That's fine. But if you're changing your mind because that's what the polls say you're supposed to do, and we don't know what you really think, okay, that's the kind of politician we need to get rid of, honestly. Last half hour of the program just ahead. Hang in there. Here we go.
Hi, Paul Glasgow here with Legally Owned America. Look, anybody that knows us knows that we are true blue, red-blooded, apple pie-eating Americans. But one thing that we like most about being American is the fact that we have choices. We can make choices in this country without being discriminated against or treated differently because of those choices. AK, AR. No matter which one you choose, the guns are going to go bang. Thing is, you can generate a lot of debate about which one of these is the best, but they still accomplish what you're trying to do. But there are some places out there where your choices are not welcome, and these guys, definitely not welcome. Some of the social media sites out there discriminated against gun owners, gun businesses, people in the firearms industry, period. Heck, their dollars aren't even welcome out there. Some of these gun companies try to advertise on social medias, and they get stifled, shut down, and banned from being able to put any of these advertisements out there. That's why we at Legally Owned America decided to create Gun District. GunDistrict.com is a really cool social media place for gun owners, gun businesses, gun enthusiasts in general. It's a good place to go. You can advertise, you can promote, you can sell, you can do whatever you want on this website as long as you follow state and federal laws, of course, but you can do so without the fear of being discriminated against because the topic just happens to be firearms and the social media site that you just happen to be on is anti-gun. We're not. Gun District is 100% pro-gun, 100% pro-Second Amendment. You can do things on this website that are just simply not allowed on other websites out there. Go check it out, gundistrict.com. No matter which one you choose, and these two guys go bang. Gun District, it goes bang. Some of the other social media sites, not so much.
We're Fox News. We're number one because the other guys suck that much. With commentators like George Will, the coolest nerd on the block, and Charles Krauthammer, the Hammer. And nobody beats Megyn Kelly, especially not that Rachel Maddow chick on MSNBC. We think she's really a dude. But who knows? Remember Al Gore's current TV? That was so lame, the high priest of global warming had to sell it to a bunch of oil barons who started Al Jazeera America. And that station's so lame, they're defaulting on their loan to Al. We've got Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, Special Report with Britt Baer, and a whole host of really hot blonde chicks 24/7. Neil Cavuto, Chris Wallace. I mean, just a bunch of cool guys that don't spend the entire day telling you how lame they think you are. That's why people like Fox News, and that's why we're number one. Fox News, kicking ass, taking names. We're number one because the other guys suck that much.
Do you need a speaker for your upcoming event and are tired of easygoing, low-hassle keynote lecturers? Look no further than Hillary Rodham Clinton for the low, low cost of only $2,777 per minute. Folks, that's just $46 per second. You, yes, you can promote Hillary Clinton as your featured guest at your next event. But please note, Mrs. Clinton demands review all promotional materials and reserves the right to cancel the event for any reason whatsoever at any time. So please call. Time is running out, folks. With the agreement to hire Mrs. Clinton, you are now legally obligated to provide a spread of hummus, lemon wedges, room temperature sparkling and still water, sliced fruit, crudité, diet ginger ale, tea, a carafe of warm water, and a coffee cup with a saucer. All of which are not only expected, but required. Time is running out. If you call within the next 20 minutes, we'll throw in the required charter jet. After all, Mrs. Clinton says she's dead broke. Here's how to order.
What's a good cup of coffee if you can't spit it across the dashboard now and then, right? Oh yeah, and ruin a good work shirt. Sure, burn the hell out of your inner thighs. We know what you need, though, in a radio program.
Irreverent but honest, and tastefully tacky. It's Glenn Woods.
last half hour-ish of the program, so I'm looking at something Donut just found on the internet. Of course, people are taking this poster all over the place. The mom, the picture I was showing you of the mom beating up the punk thug kid she had, I bet she was calling him punk. You're not going to be a thug. Here's what someone wrote around it. So there's a picture of the mom beating up the kid who wanted to be a, part of the riot. Ski mask, $5. Black sweats, $12.50. Backpack, $25. Getting your looting ass beat by your mama in front of everybody on live TV, priceless. Dear Lord, we need to see more pictures like that. Honestly. It's called parenting. Look it up. I bet, I just cannot imagine how mad that mom was when she looked out there and saw her boy. And I don't care if he was wearing a ski mask and put his hood up over it and was wearing all black and he wants to be a thug. She recognized him. She knows her boy. Parenting. That's what that's all about. I still want to ask, I'm asking the question here. So after she just basically throttled him like that and dragged him home by the collar with perfect hair every step of the way, still absolutely amazes me. Is she going to get charged for abuse or something like that? That's a butt whooping right there. I mean, that's a serious butt whooping that boy's getting right there, and well deserved. I would hope there would not be a judge or a jury anywhere that would convict her of just anything. I mean, seriously, not a thing. All right, new study indicates New York might be better off cooling it with petty ticketing of every little thing. I throw this picture up for those people that are watching by video. Wait, you get to see the picture of the mom beating the snot out of her kid again. But there's another picture that I throw up now and then. And it's asking a serious question. And it was one that was made just for this radio program, for the people who watch the video. So it shows a picture on one hand of a bunch of Occupy Wall Streeters demanding more government. On the other side is that poor gentleman that was pulled down by police and choked and died because he was selling cigarettes on the street corner for 75 cents a pop. And the question is, well, you wanted more government. Is this what you wanted? Because that's what more government is. And right now in New York, you're ticketed over every little thing. From the Reason Foundation. They write, I often have gripes, often hear about the grim effects on the petty law enforcement practices going on right now. By the way, I don't blame the cops for that. I honestly don't. I don't blame the cops. Well, this is their job to enforce these laws. I blame the politicians and the bureaucrats for passing these petty little laws on the lives of citizens, particularly less well-to-do ones. Wall Street Journal discusses a report from a guy named John Jay College Criminal Justice that might be opening the eyes of lawmakers. I hope so. And law enforcement agents around the country to the troubles that petty little laws create. That was part of the gripe, and I'm not giving them any excuse. In Ferguson, the people there were just getting sick and tired of the police stopping them and ticketing them for every little damn thing that they could think of. Then you got to show up in court, and then you got to pay fines, and some of his activity has declined since 2006. At one point in 2006, about 600,000 summons to court for all these petty little crimes across New York City. In the Bronx in 2006, summons to court for 16 and 17-year-olds old at a rate of 25 for every 100 that age. So the odds of getting a ticket for something petty. And what the Reason Foundation is saying, we've got a lot of things to discuss that are part of the problem here across America, a lot of things. One of them would be, if we're living in a free country, enough with making every little thing illegal. Just enough of making every little thing illegal. Because now, we can't even walk out our front door or for that matter, just hang around in her own home without being guilty of God knows how many crimes. It's a police state. If you haven't heard the program, go to my YouTube page, go back a couple of shows, go to my show archives at boldrepublic.com and look up the program on the American police state, which is about where we are right now.
Where will Wyoming be by the year 2100? Are we building a future for our children, or are we stealing it? Right now, government employees who expect a retirement check will find their pension fund broke in just 14 years. Wyoming's pension will go the way of pensions of Detroit and Illinois, which are already bankrupt. If we want Wyoming to still be a viable state at the next turn of the century, we can't let it go bankrupt. Wyoming needs to set the example and not saddle future generations with today's debt. Visit Wyoming2100.com for a few ideas on how we can avoid spending traps that are bankrupting so many other states. Wyoming2100.com. The long view, the right road.
I'm Professor Burke from Farmers Insurance, and this is 30 Seconds of Smart. So you want discounts on your home insurance? Upgrade your roof. Upgrade your plumbing. Get a burglar alarm. Get a fire alarm. Combine policies with your spouse. Bundle your coverage. Quit smoking. And of course, talk to farmers, because the more you know about home insurance, the more you can save.
We are farmers.
Get smarter about your insurance at farmers.com.
Stop by and see Lyle Austin, 201 West Lakeway Road in the Lakeway Professional Center, 686-5002. That's 686-5002. Ah, summertime. You know, the great outdoors. You know what half the fun is with getting away from it all? Shopping. I mean, we're talking guns, bows, arrows, knives, camping equipment, from tents to sleeping bags, clothing, bug spray, fishing line, lures, tackle bait, cooking equipment, MREs, even all the latest electronic gadgets, and they've got it all at Rocky Mountain Discount Sports with locations throughout Wyoming. So no matter what you need, before you head out into the great outdoors, do some shopping. That's half the fun, isn't it? Rocky Mountain Discount Sports, conveniently located in Gillette, Wyoming on South Douglas Highway and 1351 CY Drive in Casper. Gas-powered, diesel-powered, but have you ever considered driving a coal-powered car? Yes, overpriced, heavily subsidized. Electric cars are available now. I'm sure they'll take all night to charge, and they don't get anywhere near the mileage a gas-powered vehicle gets. And those toxic batteries made from rare earth minerals, well, but by driving an all-electric car, you're supporting one of America's most important industries. Coal. That's because coal is used to generate 49% of America's electricity. Petroleum and nuclear produce most of the rest. Hydroelectric only produces 7%. Those so-called renewable energies, which take more mining for rare earth minerals, leaves toxic chemicals as a byproduct and toxic batteries. And let's not forget those wind turbines, killing about an estimated 500,000 birds a year in North America alone. Well, they only produce about 2% of America's energy. That's why we encourage you to start driving coal today. The coal is plentiful and cheap, and by driving a coal-powered car, you'll be helping to fight the Obama administration's war on coal. So go on, buy an electric car, support a great American industry, and drive coal.
Hello. Yes, I think Glenn is going to take your call next, but don't call him Glenn. He wants to be called Pasty White Guy. Oh, no, he takes it as a compliment. Trust me. Wait, here we go.
Back to the show. Back to Glenn Woods.
Okay, apparently somebody else is going to be running for president on, I don't know if he's going to be on the Democrat ticket or not, but I'm going to tell you who it is. If you know the name, you're going to laugh your ass off. That's okay. And I am not worried about it. This is something else that was just posted by the Reason Foundation, and the guy for the Reason Foundation, which is a libertarian think tank, it wrote next to it, "Oh my God." I'm not worried about it. I want this guy, this hardcore, he is an admitted socialist. Please, let's get him into the debate. I want him in the debate, and I want him debating Rand Paul. You want to talk about polar opposites here. Bernie Sanders wants to run for president. He's an independent. If he stays an independent, he's not getting a single vote anywhere. He's a socialist. Here's the story. Bernie Sanders, independent, Vermont, is going to announce his run for, he is going to run for Democrat presidential nomination Thursday. Here, I still don't get this. would somebody please explain to me? Well, maybe it's just because they stay in the newspaper longer, and on TV and so on. But why do you announce that you're going to be announcing? Why not make the announcement that you'll soon be announcing that you're announcing? Why not do that? Let's make the announcement that soon we're going to make the announcement that we'll be announcing. Why don't we just go ahead and do that? The more times you announce that you'll be announcing, the more you wind up in the newspapers and on television and so on. That's how they're running this. But anyway, so, okay, he wants the Democrat nomination. He wants to announce on Thursday, according to a report from the Associated Press based on 2 unnamed sources in the Sanders campaign. Bernie Sanders has been heavy on the cable news circuit recently, doing things like calling for mass mobilization of millions of people to tell the Koch brothers. Oh, there we go with the evil Koch brothers. You know, what gets me is people like him talk about the evil Koch brothers and all of their billions, but they don't talk about George Soros, who does the same thing, but for liberals. Well, okay. They're billionaires. They can't have it all. You know why every time I hear this, I'm going to respond to it. So if it gets old to you, I'm sorry, but it needs to be responded to. As often as they say it, we need to respond to it. Class warfare is nothing but greed and envy. If you suffer from class warfare, then you are a greedy person and you envy what somebody else has. You know why a billionaire is worth billions? They don't have billions of dollars sitting in a bank somewhere. It doesn't work that way. If you think it works that way, you don't know how money works. They're worth billions. That's how much stuff they have and how much they put into the economy every single year. Every year they produce a lot of stuff, and that stuff goes out to the retail markets, and we all come running with our money. I want some of that stuff. And we all pay them for that stuff they're producing, and that's how they become billionaires. There is no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. Billionaires want it all. It's income inequality. It's only inequality in the sense that they're better at making money than you are. I wonder how much Bernie Sanders is worth. Well, for now, Sanders is the second candidate for Democrat nomination following Hillary, of course. He's expected to apply pressure, and it talks about, well, I want him to debate Hillary, for one thing. And here's what's funny about this. If for those of you who don't know Bernie Sanders, when he debates Hillary, he's going to make Hillary sound like a conservative. That's how far left he is. He's going to make Hillary sound like a conservative. The guy is an absolute nutball. Please bring him in. Absolutely. Let the guy run. He's not going to go anywhere. He's not going to get any votes anywhere. Oh, he does have his following out there. Don't worry that he does. But don't be nervous about the guy. Just welcome the debate. Now, he's probably never, since he's never going to debate, he's never going to get past Hillary if he's running. He's just too much of a nut job. But I would love to, the debate that I want that I'm never going to hear is this hardcore socialist that's in Congress. Of course, he's from Vermont. To have him debate someone like Rand Paul, a libertarian. See, to me, that would be a fascinating debate, as Rand Paul would just make mincemeat of the guy. I would just love for the American, not just for my own entertainment, I would love for the American people to hear that debate. Okay, well, some climate change news just ahead that's just going to delight the hell out of you.
Welcome to Wesley Mouch's Liberal Cafe. We have the only menu with fine print, so please read. You must wait to be seated. You cannot choose your own seat because you do not know where is best for you. Seating is arranged to best obtain the appearance of diversity and tolerance. Before you order, please fill out this form showing that you understand our sexual harassment policies. Notice that all of our staff represents an equal share of gender, race, and sexual preferences. In order to achieve this level of fairness, we have more staff than we need. Please give them something to do. You can look at the menu, but your order will be made for you because you do not know what is best for you. Menu in English upon request. The staff is paid no matter what, and all pay is equal to make it fair. Therefore, they have no incentive to work harder for you, so service sucks, and so does the food. Those who do not show up at the diner are sent bills for what they should have spent, and rather high bills for tips as well. When you tip, remember, quality of service does not matter. Tips are split up evenly between the waitresses to make it fair. Rich people who don't really eat in places like this are charged more and must pay for the meals of those who are less fortunate. They also must cover all tips, including their own and those who have not eaten yet but are assumed to be showing up soon. Since no one really wants to eat here, Wesley Mouch's Liberal Cafe is losing money big time, and so is subsidized by the government. Because most of the money is eaten up by the bureaucracy, very little of it actually gets to the diner. Interestingly, though, more and more money is allocated every year, but less and less seems to make it.
This restaurant is union run. You will be back. We are not asking. Come visit the Liberal Cafe today. Either way, you're paying for it.
If we had some global warming, it wouldn't be 20 below. It wouldn't be 20 below. If we had some global warming, I wouldn't be shoveling snow. I wouldn't be shoveling that blasted snow. If we had some global warming, I wouldn't have to drive this giant truck. Maybe I could drive a little commuter car. If we had some global warming, set the flamingo free.
It's a Baltimore Public Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. So we knew this was going to happen. There was a giant earthquake in Nepal, of course, and horrible, thousands dead, of course. What got me, it was felt all the way over, well, into India. In fact, really got me, there are some people, climbers on Mount Everest that are dead climbers on Mount Everest because of an earthquake that happened all the way in Nepal. And the first thing I thought of, I didn't say it when the earthquake happened because I didn't want to be insensitive about it. I really didn't. But I was thinking, it's going to happen. At some point, we can just start the countdown clock. Somebody's going to step up and say, that earthquake was due to global warming. It's all man's fault. That's, earthquake. Even though earthquakes have been happening for billions of years. It's all man's fault that earthquakes have been happening. Even though the climate has been changing for billions of years, and sometimes to such extremes, it has caused mass extinctions. But now today's climate change is all due to man. Even though the climate change that we're going through, and the climate is changing. Of course the climate's changing, as it's been doing for 4.5 billion years. And what we're going through now is nothing unusual. The weather's not doing anything unusual. Okay, nothing strange is happening. Nothing extreme is happening. All right, so here's the headline. Professor claims global warming caused Nepal's earthquake. Oh, God, here we go again. Here's the story. So not only does global warming cause volcanoes, even though volcanoes have been erupting for how long? Billions of years. But it also causes massive earthquakes that have rocked Nepal Saturday and killed thousands of people. These warmists have no shame. Quote, it now appears that there exists a clear relationship between the global warming and earthquakes and other under-the-earth activities, according to so-called scientists. I'm sorry. Pardon me. He's an assistant professor and at Canberra University. Not even a professor, an assistant professor. He argues that when permafrost melts in the Arctic and is associated with, well, basically, permafrost melts, and that lightens things up, and that causes global warming. The earthquake and surrounding areas hit by a 7.8 magnitude earthquake Saturday that toppled houses. It says 3,000 here. I believe the death toll is over 4,000 now. So far, officials say that about 6,500 people have been injured, and responders are continuing to rescue climbers on Mount Everest. See, that's the part that really killed me on Mount Everest. Massive aftershock also in the region. Terrible disaster, but now, of course, I just want you to understand, for those of you who are listening to me who are in the energy industry, this is all your fault. Do you own an SUV? This is all your fault. It is. Yeah. Are you an American? Well, obviously, this is your fault. Are you a capitalist? Well, this is all your fault. You are guilty. These people who died in Nepal, it's all on you. You caused this, just so you know. Just because you were born an American, whatever the hell, it's all your fault. It's okay. You're supposed to feel guilty about this. If you're laughing and rolling your eyes, well, how dare you act as if this guy has no credibility whatsoever, this assistant professor from somewhere, even though earthquakes have been happening for billions of years, and volcanoes too. Okay. Nick from the Camel County Observer writes in on a video stream, just curious, would the riots have gone, and that's in Baltimore, have gone this far if the store owners had the right to defend their property with legal force? Now, during the course of that last commercial break, DJ stuck her head in the studio and asked, did I see the story about the business owner who had a gun, a shotgun? Yes, it's been all day on my daily outrage page at boldrepublic.com. Go all the way down to the second to last story. Here's the headline. Baltimore Sun reports that a man was saved by a mob, by a store owner armed with a shotgun. Here's what, according to CNN, during the course of all of this, this reporter ran through the streets of Baltimore toward a location where an officer was reportedly being injured by rioters. I ran down and got in the middle of everything, he said. Of course, you can imagine it got really bad. And a store owner with a gun, a shotgun, I believe, saved him. Now, as soon as I heard that, or read that headline, which was last night, I believe, is when I read that headline. Remember the Rodney King riots? Okay, the Rodney King riots, this just really killed me. I just got it. I was delighted to see it. During the Rodney King riots, there were a bunch of store owners, a lot of them Korean store owners in that very neighborhood, who built barricades out in front of their stores. You can go back and watch the video. It's posted around the internet. And they defended their property. You see them sticking their heads up over the barricades and shooting pistols. They probably had some other guns too. And I looked at that at the time and I thought, I have no problem with it. I don't recall anyone getting arrested for that, by the way. They're defending their property. So if the business owners had been armed, no, I don't think the looters would have gotten away with it. All right, guys, tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll do it all again on Wednesday. See you then.